What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Thursday. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. A big thanks for making us a part of your starts. Whether you're listening to us on those radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, where you can stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. Got your smart devices like your Alexa. Just say, yo, play WAYY. App, download it on the go. Well, download it, then tag it on the go. And then you've got the video streams, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch coming at you. But a very happy Thursday, June 26th to all of you. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? If you're a Brewers fan, you got to be feeling pretty good right now. Feeling pretty good about your ball club at the halfway mark, as we are now officially 50% of the way through the season. 81 games completed for the Brewers. And right now, your Brewers are 2.5 back from the Cubs for first place. But now the second team, the second wild card team, as they moved up a little bit more, 9 games above 500, 45 and 36 on the season. So you're feeling pretty good about that. You'd also probably feel pretty good about yesterday's game and the highly anticipated matchup between Mizz and Paul Skeens, a sold-out crowd for a midweek day game. Tip of the cap to Brewers fans for showing up. I mean, that was fantastic. Fantastic to see that awesome crowd. And, well, the Brewers rewarded you too. Mizz looking sharp once again, picking up his third straight win in as many appearances, 3-0 in 3 games, just giving up 2 hits, striking out 8. Maybe a little nervous there in that first inning, leadoff walk, and got all the way to third, but got through it and was sharp after that. And a credit to the Brewers offense in the second inning. Hey, any way you could get on, get the ball in play. And the Brewers did that, putting up 4 runs against Paul Skeens in that second inning, and that was enough. That was enough for the Brewers to get the 4-2 victory yesterday. So, man, what can we say about Jacob Mizz right now? I mean, what a fantastic, absolutely fantastic start to the season and his career, not only for the season, but his career overall. 3-0, 1 point, let's 3-0, 1.13 ERA in his 3 games started. Yes, he's only pitched in 16 innings. That's something that the Brewers are going to be cautious about and mindful about throughout the rest of the season with him. But he is just 19 times, was it, that he hit triple digits on the radar gun yesterday. Maybe a little butterflies in that first inning, but man, the kid looked like a vet out there, looked like a veteran out there after things kind of settled down and such. But dang, that was fun to watch. That was fun to watch. And again, a credit to the Brewers offense in that second inning, smelling maybe a little bit of blood, at least taking advantage against Paul Skeens in that inning, and they were able to manufacture some runs. So credit to the offense doing just enough to get Jacob Mizz some run support, and a credit to the bullpen too for locking it down after. I know it got a little sketchy there with the Pirates scoring a run in the 7th and the 8th, but then Trevor McGill shutting it down in the 9th for his 18th save of the season. Uribe, even though he did give up 1 earned run, picking up his 21st hold of the season too. So with it now, Brewers off day today, and with it being the conclusion, if you will, the second quarter of the season, we are at the halfway mark of this Brewers season. You know what time it is. Give me your report cards. Give me your analysis. Give me your halfway mark, your scouting reports and such. How you feeling about the trend or the direction of this Brewers team right now as we get set starting tomorrow to begin the quote-unquote second half of the season, if you will, numbers-wise. I know kind of gets talked about more after the All-Star break and that. But since we will begin Game 82 tomorrow, let's look back at this first half. How would you, if you had to use maybe one word or a couple words or one sentence to describe the first half of this Brewers season, this team overall, how would you describe this Brewers team from what you have seen so far? First half, first part of the season, not just the second quarter, but the first word or the phrase that instantly comes to your mind when, or maybe the image or the player or the person that comes to your mind. Just when you think about the first half of this Brewer season, from the end of March to June 26th, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Think about that for a second, and I want to hear from you, okay? So hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, comment on the video streams, hit me up on the socials and such, whatever the case. But what's the first thing you think about this team from the first half of this season? And give me your assessment of where things stand looking ahead to the second half of this season. I mean, you got to love what they're doing so far, right? Moving on up in the standings, 2.5 back from first against the Cubs, but sitting in that second spot in the highly contested National League playoff chase. So lots to talk about, and hopefully a lot of positive stuff, and hopefully Brewers fans feeling pretty happy, feeling pretty good about the current state of their team right now. So I want to hear from you, though, so start to hit me up with those thoughts and messages and comments and such. So plenty of baseball talk, plenty of Brewers talk coming your way. We had the NBA draft, the first round last night. No drama surrounding the first pick, the flag getting drafted number 1 overall. No Bucks pick in the first round, but the Bucks are slated to have the 17th pick tonight for round 2. So what will the Bucks do? Doesn't that matter to a lot of Bucks fans? Maybe not. Or maybe it doesn't and such. But as of right now, the Bucks are slated to make a pick. Could it be John Tange? How highly believe that he will be a second round pick? I think he deserves to be drafted. I mean, come on, we saw what he did for the Badgers this past season. One of the biggest surprises in all of college basketball for what he did for Wisconsin and the high level of play that he had. So could John Tange be a possibility for the Bucks at number 47? Will he be available there? If you were looking at maybe a mock draft from ESPN, they actually have John Tange going 39th overall to the Toronto Raptors. The Bucks draft 47th overall, 17th in the second round. So, but we'll see. And I know probably some names, I shouldn't say all the names you probably haven't heard of, but some names you're probably not too familiar with. And second round doesn't get a whole lot of fanfare to begin with, anyways. But we'll see what the Bucks do tonight with their pick. Will they make the pick? Will they trade it? Will they move back into the second round and get a couple picks? What about maybe Cam Jones? Could he be going in the second round? The guard from Marquette. So we'll chat a little hoops and talk about that this morning. Also, Jake Boakes will be joining us, our DNR warden buddy, with the 4th of July weekends coming up next week. We won't have a program next week, but if you have any questions leading into maybe the 4th of July holiday, all right, hit me up. Send me a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. That is the easiest, quickest way for me to get those on over to Jake. So please send those on over via texting us at 715-830-1912. So any questions that you may have for Mr. Jake, let me know. Text me on over. All right. So we'll hit that up at about 8:30 this morning. So, but let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? let's get the leadoff going here, and we got to talk some Brewers. All right. I mean, I know baseball season is long. We got 162 regular season games in this thing, right? But you got to be feeling pretty good about this Brewers team. It's fine. It's okay. Yes. Are they the perfect team? Are they the best team? Do they have all their holes filled? No, they don't. Okay. But it's still okay to be feeling pretty good about your team right now with the way that they are playing and with what they are doing. It's okay to be still pumped up from yesterday's game and another incredible performance from Jacob Mizz. It's okay to feel that way. It's 162 games in this season. All right, baseball, it's the ebbs and flows. You're going to have the highs and you're going to have the lows, just like teams are going to go through. They're going to go through some slumps. They're going to go through some winning streaks. Baseball fans are the same way. You're going to go with the highs. You're going to go with the lows. You got to ride the wave, baby. And right now, it's a nice wave here for the Brewers. So with the second half getting sets, first half of the season is in the books. What's that word? What's that phrase? What comes to your mind when you quickly think back to the first half of this Brewers season? What's that thing? Or what's that word? Or what comes to your mind? Okay? Let me know. And how would you assess the first half of this season? You know, the semester grades, if you will. And you can break it down by certain position groups, offense, defense, and such. What do you got? All right. I'm curious to hear from you. I expect a lot of input on this Brewers team this morning. So let's do that and recap yesterday's kind of historic day. Or is that a little dramatic to use the word historic? I don't know. But hey, fantastic to see AmFam Field filled up as much as it was yesterday. Brewers talk coming up next. Our good friends, Carpet City Flooring Center, right now, $1,000 flooring giveaway. That's right. Just head to their Facebook page, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, and it's simple on how you can enter. You just like the Carpet City Flooring Center Eau Claire on Facebook, like the post, tag a friend in the comments. More tags equals more entries, and share this post to your feed or story. So, you could also follow them on Instagram at Carpet City WI for another bonus entry. So if you want to get $1,000 flooring giveaway from our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center, here's your chance right now. Just look them up on Facebook. Again, Carpet City Flooring Center, Eau Claire, the fine folks over there. And that's a heck of a deal. If you've been looking to maybe update some of the flooring in your home, in your space, whether it's your man cave, living room, bedroom, kitchen, all that good stuff over there too. So go check it out right now. Again, Carpet City Flooring Center, Eau Claire. A few people already chiming in. We've been asking, how would you describe this first half of the Brewers season now that it is officially in the books? 81 games completed for the Brewers. Sturgeon Keith is saying one word, gelling. The pitching has been solid all year, but now the hitting is coming together, including several younger players who we had once almost given up on. Mike says, I say scrappy team. We've got Jeff that says grinding out team. We've got Matt saying fun team. We've got David. He's also saying scrappy team. And we've got Dave also saying Brew Crew slogan for the rest of the season, slide over, get out of the way. So also continue to send us some of those first half grades. We've got a lot of B pluses coming through here, a couple of A minuses as well, but it sure seems like the main one is B plus so overall. But continue to send those on over. Hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or you could comment on the video streams and socials as well. Brewers picking up the win yesterday in a sold-out Wednesday day game at AmFam Field. Again, a huge tip of the cap to the Brewers fans for showing up at the park, and why wouldn't you to go see Jacob Mizz and Paul Skeens go at it? And it was the rookie Mizz who outdueled Paul Skeens. Mizz picking up his third win in 3 starts, only giving up 2 hits, no earned runs again, 8 strikeouts. And tip of the cap to the Brewers offense for taking advantage when it was there, putting up 4 runs in the second inning and just putting the ball in play and making things happen, being a little aggressive on the base paths. No big hits, deep shots or anything like that. They were just putting it in play and then being aggressive. And those 4 runs were just enough for the Brewers to get that 4-2 victory yesterday against the Pirates. And obviously it was against Paul Skeens, but maybe the bigger picture, another series win for the Brewers. Off day today for the crew before they welcome the Colorado Rockies to American Family Field, and a heck of an opportunity for the Brewers to finish off this month of June on a very high note. Brewers right now just 2.5 back from the Cubs for first place, and are now the second wild card team. So they even moved up a little bit in the wild card standings as they get set to begin the second half of this season tomorrow. A couple more messages really quick. C-Bomb says resilient. That's what I would call this Brewers team, and it's only going to get better when Woodruff gets back. They are fun to watch. Our good friend Mark, Brewers baseball the right way. So how would you describe this team so far, intern?
When you ask that question right off the bat, I agree with Matt. Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them yesterday, again, was fun watch. And I agree with every term that people have resilient that have been used, because I think this team is a very watchable product.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the crowd yesterday, and already how much
43,000, I think they said over there.
For as much money as they're paying Mizz this year, I think he paid his salary yesterday.
Probably, yeah.
With what he brought in between the crowd and what they did at the refreshment stands, I think he paid for his salary in one day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this person, and I don't know what the team store is, but I mean, you want to talk about the Mizz hype? When I was at Target Field Saturday, I did spot a Mizorowski jersey already, and he had only made 2 starts at that point. So I mean, there's excitement, there's hype surrounding this kid. So.
And there's one thing that has me really optimistic about this kid. And I'm not a pitching coach. I was never a pitcher, but you throw enough from being a catcher, shortstop, or whatever, and his motion is so easy. It doesn't look like he puts a lot of pressure on his shoulder or elbow. I mean, it looks like his body just moves so fluidly.
Using that lower body.
Yeah, exactly. And so, knock on wood, he's going to stay healthy. He's going to have the kind of arm that's going to last him a long time with the motion he's got. Because a lot of guys are herky jerkier at the last minute. They really put a lot of force on it, but he's smooth all the way through his wind up, as such as they are now, and all the way through the delivery. He doesn't look like he puts a lot of pressure on his arm, wrist, shoulder, anything.
Yeah. And I loved it too. He's 23 years old, but you see the emotion. You should be excited and pumped up when you're pitching the way, yesterday, and fist pumping and all that and smiling. I mean, the kid's fun to watch outside the 100 mile an hour, 102 mile an hour fastballs and 94 mile an hour slider, for crying out loud. I mean,
yeah, you see his love for the game.
Yeah.
He just loves, 23 years old. We were 23 years old. If they'd let us walk on the field, we'd have been excited. But this guy's out there pitching Major League Baseball and winning and throwing no-hit ball. I mean, this kid is good.
And I mean, let's be real. We're all human. There had to be some butterflies in that game yesterday. I mean, he acknowledged, he's like, I had to tune out the internet, and as he said, good time to spend time with the girlfriend. But, with the whole Paul Skeens and Jacob, I mean, it looked like a boxing match, the way everybody was kind of hyping it up and such. And, that's where I was a little nervous, I'm like, but I mean, the kid looked like a veteran.
And the rest of the team helped him. They threw that first punch in the second inning. You go up 4-0 when this kid on the mound, you're pretty safe that he's going to get through his part of the game without giving up that lead. I mean, the pitches he throws are remarkable.
And that was I don't know if you were watching, but that was an incredibly tight zone to begin that game yesterday. I mean, that home plate there was some that were really close, and it was going to be tight.
Yeah, and you don't see the announcers say that very much. I don't know if they're under orders, don't criticize the umpire. And they didn't criticize them. They made the same comment you did.
Yep.
That, boy, he's got a tight zone today, because you look at it and on the box, and it's a strike. I mean, both ways. It was a tight strike zone for a while.
Yep. And maybe it was just their way of like, we got to give the hitter some sort of chance.
Against both those guys, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, but gosh, he has surpassed we knew the talent was there and that, but I know it's only 3 games in, but he's already surpassing what I thought he would probably do in the first 3. I mean, it's the only thing now I'd be curious about, because he hasn't gone over 100 innings in a season. The more we get in there, are they going to be cognizant of that? And how much can they stretch him out? How much are they going to want to push it?
I was going to say, seems to me, I heard they want to keep him between 80 and 90 pitches. And I think as the season goes along, they'll even stretch that out a little bit. I would think 90 to 100 as he gets into the heat of the summer. You get lathered up and you get your joints loose, your elbow, your shoulder, you can throw more. But I would think, he's going to be pitching more innings as he goes along.
Might be. I don't think there's, never say never, but I mean, at this point, you better not send him back down just to clear a roster spot or something like that. That would not. Okay, would that be worse than trading Hader from a few years ago?
Sending him down now and having Atanasio show up in the stadium would be a dangerous situation, because this kid, he's only pitched in 3 games. But anyone tells me he's not a major league pitcher, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about that.
And
This
I
kid
don't
is
want
a
to hear
major,
about
no,
options
oh
and all that
no,
stuff.
this kid's a major league pitcher.
Especially with where you're at right now in the standings. I mean, you're in the wild. I mean, you're the second wild. You are now within striking distance of the Cubs, 2.5 back. Thank you, Cardinals, for helping out a little bit there too. But you do not send. I don't care about the baseball business side of that stuff.
No.
When Woodruff comes back, no. That Mizorowski's he's in there. You keep him in there.
Oh, absolutely. You have no choice. I mean, if he's not the pitcher of the week in baseball, there's going to be some questions asked about why as well.
Heck, maybe even the month of June at this point.
Might be.
For his 3 starts in June. So, but I mean, when you look at the first half of this season too, I mean, there's so many words we could use to describe this Brewers team. I mean,
there's no question about that. But I look at this kid, Mizorowski, and the way he wears his cap, I kind of get a chuckle at him because it shows he's still a big kid. I mean, he's just a kid. He's got his cap just cockeyed, just a little bit tilted, and he's having fun. He's a kid out there playing a kid's game, but he's doing it at a very, very high level.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be real too. At 23, imagine yourself at 23. I'd probably get caught up a little bit in the hype and that.
Absolutely.
So and that's where I think, again, it goes to the credit of Pat Murphy, Chris Hook, Jim Henderson, and his coaches to kind of, as he said too, the best advice he's gotten from his teammates and his coaches, just know where your feet are, keep your feet where they're at, on the ground and stuff. And right now he's doing a fantastic job with that.
He really is. I mean, he seems like a nice down-to-earth kid. He's there to play baseball. He's there to pitch baseball. You saw some of the calls, as you mentioned earlier, the tight strike zone. Those balls were strikes, but it never fazed him. He took the ball back. He never looked at the umpire. He took the ball back and got on with his business. And that's pretty mature for a 23-year-old kid.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun to watch right now. And yesterday too, you talk about the kid. I think it's just kind of a neat story. He wore special cleats yesterday too because his dad has Parkinson's disease. So he wore some cleats yesterday to honor his dad too. So yeah, he's a kid, but he also kind of goes to that humbleness and groundness that he's provided or showed, I should say. So
he's got to be right now. And you look all the way across baseball, he's got to be the brightest rookie light shining right now.
I don't want to compare him yet to this guy because it's still early, but is it similar a little bit to Skeens from last year?
Oh, definitely.
And I know Skeens got a quicker debut last year, and then he ended up being the starter in the National League, but kind of with that same, I think, and I like it, as C-Bomb mentioned yesterday, heading in that game yesterday, 2 small market teams. The baseball world's attention was on that, and with 2 small market teams.
Because this was on the Major League Baseball network, so it was going all over the country. So it was getting a lot of attention. I enjoyed watching that too. Harold Reynolds and who's the guy that was a reliever for the Brewers years ago? Dan Plesac.
Yep.
I mean, they were espousing this guy's talents and abilities and what he was doing on a national level. So folks that follow baseball on a national level, watch that Major League Network, they saw and heard all about Mizorowski.
Yeah, I mean, since you brought him up and I saved this, I guess it's a little bit of a receiver defer. Plesac, the question was, is Mizorowski the most talented pitching prospect in Brewers franchise history? And Dan Plesac said, without. Is that too early to say that after?
Well, no, I'm just thinking back. I mean, Ben Sheets, when he came up on LSU, was pretty highly regarded. Teddy Higuera was very highly regarded. I mean, in the moment, I can see why Plesac is saying that. But when you look back and, do you make that statement after 3 games, or do you let it go longer with, like, Sheets had and Sheets and Teddy Higuera, and I'm sure there are others that I'm missing here that came up and did well. None of them kind of shocked the world after 3 starts like Mizorowski, so I can understand his statement, but I think I'd hedge my bet for a while, because there have been other really good prospects that have come up and done well early in their careers and did well for the Brewers.
Oh, and one of them is Logan Henderson, too. As Jeremy said, I understand Mizz is special, but why did they send Logan Henderson down, who had arguably just as good of a start to his career, which I think you and I both weren't in favor of that move either.
No.
And the excuse that they said was because of the baseball stuff. And I know the other part, too, that Pat Murphy talked about was Logan Henderson's injury history, which they're trying to be mindful of and not overextend him and try to overdo it with him. So I don't know if that was the big reason. Was that just fodder to talk about and such? But that was something that was mentioned, that they want to be mindful of that. They want to be careful of that because he does have an injury history and they didn't want to overdo it with Henderson, which I haven't heard that about Mizz, with the injury history or anything like that. So, I mean, if that's the main reason, I can understand that, where they're trying to be mindful with that.
Yeah, and I'm watching this team where it's fun. And I was down there at San Diego for 2 games a week or 2 ago, and I had said then that Collins and Durbin, are they major league ready, or are they just minor leaguers that are forced to play because the Brewers didn't make any moves to bring in anybody? And in 2 weeks, these guys have changed dramatically. I mean, they're major league players. I mean, they're not going to hit a lot of home runs, but by golly, they can play the game, and they made a difference again yesterday. And it wasn't just one game I'm talking about. These guys are getting better day by day by day. And after the All-Star break and the run to the pennant at the end of the season, I think these guys are going to offer an awful lot for the Brewers lineup. They don't have that home run hitter yet that we need at third base, but Durbin,
he's hitting really well right now.
Yeah, he is. And, they're growing up, and they're growing up in May. One thing to send them down, and okay, they hit 325 in AAA, but they're hitting major league pitching. They're not going to hit 325, but they have to be dealt with in that lineup. They're not throwaway spots in the batting order anymore. These guys are growing significantly quickly, I think.
Yeah, Durbin in his last 106 at-bats is hitting 292.
Yep.
His last 28, he's 357. So just quickly, these were Pat Murphy's comments about Logan Henderson. It was a good write-up from Adam McCulvey, like why sending down Logan Henderson, just as a refresher. 2022, he missed pretty much the whole season with a fractured elbow. And then he had the lat strain as well. And Murphy said he's not 6'4", 215, and there's concern he's had injury history. You have to just kind of going on a little bit more here. It sounds like the biggest thing is just the injury history, and they want to make sure, since he's had a few kind of serious ones, they're not overdoing it with him. So, because I think he is definitely a part of that future starting rotation, that young starting rotation for the Brewers. So, and honestly, we still might even see him at some point later on the season get called back up. We'll see. But
and they've got a lot of guys in the minors that could be called up. And, I bring him up all the time. Tobias Myers. I just can't believe a guy has gone from so good to so bad, for lack of another word to use, in such a short time. I don't know if he's still having arm problems or confidence problems or what, but that's been a major disappointment, because I thought he was going to be a mainstay in his staff for a long time, the way he came on last year.
Sounds like, though, he is getting after a rough start to being sent back down to AAA, he is performing better. This was actually from justbaseball.com, top AAA performers. In the last couple games, he's pitched 11 innings, 10 Ks, 2 walks, and a 0.00 ERA for Tobias Myers. So
that's not bad.
No, not bad at all. So maybe starting to kind of get that confidence, or just kind of get that momentum back with Myers. And
a lot to be optimistic about as far as this Brewer team, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's another word that we use to describe this Brewers team. Optimistic after a very kind of sluggish start and such. Now you look at it and feeling pretty good. And remember, National League is deep right now, at least, especially in that division. And this team is they're battling it out. They're just
Cub fans have to be nervous right now.
I would think so,
their
right?
pitching they're hurt. They're not up to snuff. And if they don't score a lot of runs every game, they're in a world of hurt. Now, they did hit a bunch of home runs yesterday against the Cardinals, but that's what they pretty much have to do to bail out this pitching staff until they can find new arms or get the arms they have healthy.
And that's after losing the first couple games against the Cardinals too.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a desperate type of game for the Cubs. But yeah, I would think that they got to be a little like looking over the shoulder and like not again, with the
it's
Brewers.
Not just one team behind them.
Right.
There's three.
Yeah. Yep. Reds, Cardinals, all in that mix too. And that's where you can't get complacent in this division because it could switch within a couple weeks with where all this. And this is where I know it's an off day today, but that's where I look at this Colorado series as still a big series for the Brewers because it's the worst team in baseball. They're coming to your house and you're playing really good baseball. You better win the series.
As Mizz is going to be is he going to be on the mound any of these games?
I would assume not against Colorado, probably against the Mets to begin July though, which would be a pretty going on the big stage in the Big Apple because that's going to be a road game.
Yeah, they got some good hitter, Lindor and Soto and the Polar Bear and a few other guys.
But they're also struggling right now as a team, so maybe that's the perfect time to play the Mets when they're a little bit down and rack up some more wins in the National League.
Be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. So, but I get, that's why I looked at this Pittsburgh series. I'm like, you got to win. These are the two worst teams record-wise in the National League coming to your house, and you're playing really good baseball. You can't lose these series. And well, they got 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. They better at least take 2 out of 3 against Colorado.
Oh, they have to, yeah.
I think I agree. I think you have to finish up that month of June, and that would just be, I think, overall, when we talked about this June with Philly, Cincinnati, the Padres and Braves series, obviously were a little bit downers, but after that, taking 3 out of 4 against the Cardinals, splitting against the Cubs, sweeping the Twins, 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. It's a pretty fantastic June for the Brewers.
Not bad at all. That's what I say. And these guys are growing. They're learning how to win. That never hurts.
Mm-hmm. Even Joey Ortiz, who we've been talking about this week, he's hitting incredibly well from the plate.
Putting the ball in play.
Yep.
And that's what we always say, watching those games, putting pressure on the defense. I mean, the ground ball to the second baseman of the day, he threw it against the screen.
Yep.
I mean, yesterday, the first baseman made a bad throw to home. And, these guys that Corbin especially, he is a baseball player. He's not waiting. What's the coach telling me? He's got the feel when he's on the base. That soft ground ball that Ortiz hit, man, he was off like a rocket from third, and they didn't have a chance. They got excited, threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting pressure on the defense, and you can't do that if you don't have guys on base.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. I mean, that second inning was the perfect example of when you talk about putting the ball in play. Just watch the second inning of what the Brewers offense did yesterday.
Yeah, that was like sandlot baseball.
Yeah.
It was just reaction of the players made that happen. There was no coaching for say.
Well, even Haas's double, that wasn't really, it fell right in front of Cruz and it got a little bit behind him, but the guy just, that's why little leaguers, when your coaches tell you to run it out and run fast and get out of the box fast, that's why. Absolutely. So you can get a double like that. Mm-hmm. So, it just felt like Brewers were really like, okay, we want this one. They were ready for that. They had a good game plan against Skeens, I thought.
Oh, there's no question. They did. Mm-hmm. And they played baseball. They didn't play station to station baseball. They played, it was kind of like a sandlot game, the way they were running the bases, where they were hitting the ball. Mm-hmm. It was well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how would you describe the first half of this Brewers season? Hit us up, 715-830-1912, or comment on the video streams and such.
Nobody's used, that I've heard anyway, the word surprising. And to me, and I can see why, because I don't think this has been surprising to me. I thought they'd be in the fight. I thought they'd be in it. And so some people said, well, without the pitching, you lost Burns, Woodruff is set back, and on and on and on. Well, I still thought, I had a lot of confidence, I guess, in Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
I think he is really, really, really a good manager.
I was kind of talking a little bit about this yesterday with Ortiz and Durbin and such, and that's the one, as frustrated as we were as fans offensively, Murphy seems like he's the manager, but if you're doing something else to help us out, Ortiz, we know with his defense, he's going to give his players a chance to prove and empower them a little bit. I mean, we talked about Terrain last year and giving him a chance to hit against lefties and, keeping Ortiz in that lineup. And now he's hitting really well. I think those players really appreciate how he goes about and gives them a shot to prove their worth, essentially.
And Murphy was never a major league player.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a coach. He's coached guys that have got into the major leagues and coached at a high level. And I don't know if more of those college type coaches will get a chance to coach in the major leagues, because a lot of these teams will hire a former player. Yeah, they know baseball, but Murphy, some of those kind of guys know at a little different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there might be more of these college coaches that might get a shot in the major leagues,
Mm-hmm.
because, Murphy is showing that he knows baseball strategy. Mm-hmm. He can feel the game. And so it'll be interesting to follow that in the future, because Pat Murphy's having success with a lineup that's not paid very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of talked a little bit about it last year with Murphy too, with the young team and having that long time college skipper. Was it a bet? I think that's part of it too, is that maybe he's older, but he resonates with a younger staff.
Oh, he certainly does. And he's calm and he doesn't get excited. And,
mm-hmm. Although he was pretty pumped after that Cubs game. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah,
like he was even through the handshake line still barking. I'm like, this is one of those wins I think we've all played, whether at whatever level, where it's like, okay, that's one where you just get a little bit more pumped up about when there's other circumstances you can't control and you still battle. He was jacked up and I loved it.
And he knows that the camera's on him as he's in the dugout, so he's not going to go, kicking the ground or, doing some things. But
I did appreciate BA saying, kids, just turn away because you can lip read Pat Murphy pretty easily. So, but
I just think his understanding of the game, not just of the play at hand, but what's going to happen the next two or three batters. And I just think he has such a grasp of the game that other, and players that have grown up playing the game, they were in the majors, they worked with managers that taught them strategy, but still in all, you have to be able to develop that strategy on your own style. And I think Murphy has a winning style.
Yeah, I think they nailed it promoting him for that job right now. I mean, not to project too far, but what if the Brewers finish first in the division again this year?
Yeah, he was manager of the year last year.
I mean, gosh.
And I don't think the cost of that roster has gone up a whole lot.
No, I mean, you lose Willie Adames, and what did you replace him with?
Yeah, Joey Ortiz.
Joey was there last year's third base, so you just slide him over, and then you had a rookie essentially with Caleb Durbin coming in. So, yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break. Continue to send us your thoughts on the first half of the Brewers season. The Mizz, Mizorowski. Lots of baseball talk here this morning. We'll be back after these quick words. Hey, speaking of VFW Post 305, reminder this Sunday, June 29th from 3 to 5 p.m., it's Yappy Hour. Humans, $20 per person. The pups are free. It includes a couple of drinks, an appetizer platter, and free homemade dog treats. If you could just please bring an unused donation for the Eau Claire County Humane Association, such as blankets, dog or cat food, some toys, just no rawhides, please. But mark it on your calendars for this Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. at the VFW Post 305 for Yappy Hour. And then don't forget, July 4th, you could be rocking it at the VFW Post 305 for their party in the pavilion with Hannah Storm. The party starts at 4 p.m. Hannah Storm taking the stage at 5. They'll be featuring drink specials, plus the always tasty Flip Flop Chicken. That's on July 4th, VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue. G-Town Greg saying the Brewers are highly entertaining. That's how he would describe this Brewers team, a Brewers team that is now 9 games above 500, 2.5 back from the Cubs for first place in the division. They are currently, right now, if the playoffs started, would be the second wild card team in that competitive National League. They got the Padres and the Giants tied for that final wild card spot, but the Cardinals are just a half game out of a wild card spot. Reds are just 2.5 back. Diamondbacks are just 3 back. I would throw the Braves in there too. They're 6.5 back. So still a lot of teams in the hunt as we are now at that halfway mark of the season, which still, I don't know. It feels like we're saying 50% of the season's already done with, and I feel like we're flying on by with this baseball season
Yeah, it's
already.
been a fast summer.
It has, and a lot has been going on. I mean, you talk about some tidal waves, and that's baseball, right? As a fan, you're going to go through the highs and the lows. Players like, highs, lows, slumps, and all that. Kind of live it week by week.
They don't have your team doesn't have a losing streak of over like 3-4 games, and you can kind of weather that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Braves, they got a big hurdle because they started horribly this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christian Yelich yesterday picked up another RBI. He's top 10 in RBIs right now in the nationally. I even think Major League Baseball. I'll double check that. But you want to talk about how well this man has been hitting in his last 118 at bats? Just a cool 364 and slugging 619. In his last 7 games, he's hitting 483 and slugging 690. He got off to a slow start. Maybe it's just something as simple as he's fully embraced being a DH right now and just fully like bought into that because he's becoming a threat now. Back to being a threat at the plate.
Oh, no question about it. His first at bat yesterday, I'm sure he
those 3 breaking balls and just he looked silly.
His ankles.
Yeah,
he looked pretty poor, but then he came up and got a big hit.
Yep, Oppo Field single there. So, yeah, Yelich is 10th in Major League Baseball in RBIs right now. He's got 57. Cal Raleigh is just off to a historic start for a catcher, 32 home runs, and he's got 69 RBIs right now too. So, that's going to be hard to catch there. But, yeah, I think that's kind of quietly like, oh, he's top 10 in RBIs. Yep, he's top 10 in RBIs right now. So
and that's what the Brewers need. A guy like that to be consistent and put the bat on the ball.
Yep. So he's a lot of these hitters. We could break them down. A lot of these hitters are just hitting the ball incredibly well as of late. Honestly, it's maybe just a couple like Contreras and Rhys Hoskins, probably the 2 that haven't been on a hot streak in these last week or so. But everybody else, it's
had
that finger injury. I think is
different year than he had last year. But yeah, if you got a finger, you can't squeeze the bat. It was good to give him off yesterday.
Yeah. And Haas is always, he's had, it feels like a lot of, yesterday, stretching that out to a double. He's a pretty solid backup catcher, I would say. So, and he handled, I thought he handled Mizz incredibly well. Him and Mizz were talking after every inning and such. So good to have I think that's kind of one of those underappreciated positions, a solid backup catcher on your roster.
No question.
All right, 1 hour in, 2 more to go. Keep your thoughts coming. We'll be back after these quick news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Thursday morning of June 26. Happy Thursday, everybody. Keep your thoughts coming with the Brewers. How would you describe the first half of this Brewer season in one word, or maybe a couple words, or a phrase? What's the first thing that pops to your head when you think back at this first half of this Brewer season? Now that we are 81 games into this thing, send those on over. Hit us up, 715-830-1912. Also, you can, if you want to do a semester type of grade, all right, because we're halfway through, so it's semester. If you have a semester grade for the Brewers, send those on over as well. We'll get back to some of those and get back to that discussion. We've got Jake Bolks coming up at 8:30 this morning. So with the 4th of July holiday already coming up next weekend and such, maybe you got some playing, some camping, fishing and such. But trail riding, if you have any questions for Jake, now is the time. Text those on over, and we'll get to that coming up at about 8:30 this morning with Jake. So, yes, you're raising your hands.
Well, I was just thinking here, we've been talking about the Brewers, and I remember early in the season, I don't remember how far into the season it was, but I asked you the question, at this point in time, who would be a Brewer that would really qualify to be on the All-Star team?
Mm-hmm.
Now I think we have some choices.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, Yelich is definitely a good choice.
I think he's going to get the name. He benefits with the name recognition too.
He does.
Well, with that, I don't think they'll have a starter. That's voted and such.
No.
But
I think Freddie Peralta as a pitcher would qualify.
Yep.
Who knows if they would take a guy like Mizz if he continues to pitch like this. He's a national phenom that they want to expose to the nation. Let him pitch an inning. Some of these other guys,
Uribe leads the majors and holds.
And he scares me.
He does make me nervous at times,
he
right?
Get the job done, but he does scare me once in a while.
Yep. I totally agree with you on that. Yep. Let's do a couple of nuggets this day in history, since it's a little throwback Thursday coming at you. I don't know. This was a year before I was born, so I don't know if you remember this. Wilbur Snap was ejected after playing 3 blind mice during a baseball game. The incident followed a call made by umpire Keith O'Connor. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Man, that's funny.
That. Guy in the Oregon.
Yeah. 1990. Okay, we're talking about Mizz at the age of 23. 1990, Jennifer Capriati at the age of 14 became the youngest winner of a match in Wimbledon history. Can you imagine 14 years old winning a match at Wimbledon?
Yeah, there are some child phenoms in various sports. Well, it's like, gymnastics is one where young kids, 14, 15, 16, do well.
Yeah.
There have been tennis. I think Chrissy Everett was probably not that young, obviously, but she won some big tournaments, not just a match.
Yeah.
When she was still 16, 17, 18 years old. Yeah, there have been some kids that have done well. Herb Score pitched in the major leagues at 16.
Yeah, that's a good nugget too. 1944, going back here a little bit, the Giants and the Dodgers, the New York Giants, the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the New York Yankees played against each other in a 6-inning contest in a war bonds fundraiser. Over 50,000 people watched the game. The final score was Dodgers 5, Yankees 1, and Giants 0. I'm not sure how that all worked out with 3 teams.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, were you around in 44?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't remember hearing about that.
I'll have to do a little deep dive and find out more on that one. So, and then going a little bit further back, 1916, the Chicago White Sox and Cleveland appeared in a game with numbers on their sleeves. Why is that important? The event marked the first time that players were identified by numbers that corresponded to the scoreboard. So that was the first time they had numbers out there. What would we do without numbers now?
Oh, boy. Few players are identifiable, but the majority, we need help.
Yep. So those are just a little bit of your throwback Thursday nuggets here this morning. I know we had Mizz and Skeens, but the event obviously last night was the first round of the NBA draft, because I know everybody was goo gaga about that thing. Tongue in cheek. A lot of
people watching it.
No drama with the first pick. Cooper Flag. Bucks didn't have a first-round pick. Second round is tonight. They do have a second-round pick. Maybe John Tonje is a possibility. Widely thought the former Badger will be a second-round pick today. We'll see. But I'll be honest with you. I not holding my breath. I don't have a big interest in I'm curious to see who they pick, but I don't really have any expectations for whoever they pick. You know,
No,
if you
you
know,
look at so many of these picks first round, but mostly in the second round, they're just picking a guy to pick a guy.
mhm.
They're sending him to the D League or sending him overseas for a couple of years and keeping his rights. And many times they don't even keep his rights. Away they go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean it is
You
you
look at
know,
Ellison from Rice Lake,
right.
you know.
There's so many first round picks we barely see,
Yeah.
and they just to me, it is clearly obvious NBA teams, unless you have the first pick, don't care about first round picks for as much as they trade them. You know what I mean? Like Bucks don't have one for the next 5 years, 6 years, or whatever it is. Okay, Oklahoma City Thunder's probably got 500 still, but a lot of these teams don't care. They just it's not like the NFL where it's gold if you have a
No,
first round pick.
No. But
And
I was going to save this for receiver defer, but the most surprising thing, and I don't know if you watched the draft at all, but the most surprising thing in the NBA draft last night to me was a Chinese gentleman that was drafted, and his name is Hansen.
oh, just the name or
His name
yeah.
was Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
It was Wee Hansen or something like that. And I got kind of a chuckle out of that.
Mm-hmm. Should note though too, because there was a Wisconsin connection, Kneppel getting the selected fourth overall, the highest kid from Wisconsin getting drafted in the NBA. So Dookie going number 4 to the Hornets. So
good luck.
Doesn't have to travel too far.
Never to be seen or heard from again when you play for the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, you remember Jordan's not there, so maybe something eventually will turn around. But but
he's not going to a contender.
He's not a contender yet. So trying to stay positive there. But,
hopefully they get better for him.
Still a cool story. Wisconsin kid going top 5 and becoming the highest Wisconsin draft pick. Didn't play at Wisconsin, obviously, but kid is from Wisconsin. So
unfortunately, that happens too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Halliburton is another good example.
But put yourself in, I guess, a 16, 17-year-old shoes, and you're getting recruited by Duke and these big-time programs.
And
it'd be hard to say
nowadays, they've got more money to offer you, too.
Yeah.
Not just a college scholarship. They've got money.
It'd be hard to say no to that, right?
Yep.
Especially if it helps the draft stock.
And I wonder if Guard tried to recruit him, or if he said a long timer into it, I'm going to Duke when he was a sophomore or junior, because, 7 figures are hard to turn down when you're a high school senior.
And a lot of the youngsters too, they have their favorite teams that are probably outside of their state. Not everybody's maybe like a Sam Decker, who was a Badger through and through. Yep. I think, was it Bronson Koenig was a North Carolina fan, and North Carolina was recruiting him, but went to Wisconsin and such. I mean, we all have, as kids, our favorite teams that are probably outside our state, especially when it's more so college, because I feel like college, yes, there's a home pride, but it's also, if you're a youngster, okay, what's the cool team? What's a buddy of mine was a Michigan fan growing up because everybody had like a Michigan starter jacket or something, and Fab Five and all that. North Carolina was a big one when I was younger.
Oh, absolutely. They took the Wolf Boys out of Kohler. They all went to North Carolina.
So it's the branding, I think, of college sports that resonates a little bit more with a younger fan base, whereas pros, you're more of the hometown pride, home state pride, I feel like. So, and
Green Bay, let's face it, Green Bay Packers are iconic. Wisconsin Badgers under Barry Alvarez got almost to the top of the mountain, but they never did. And they were always in the fight, but they didn't win enough of the big fights. And now they're not even winning many fights.
Hate to bring it up.
Although Greg Gard had a good year. I'm talking football.
But I hate to bring this one up, but if Wisconsin would have won the national championship in 15, does it change things?
Absolutely.
You think so? Changes it? Even because I think Bo probably would have retired right after that game instead of beginning the second half and that. But I think championships change perspectives and things a little bit.
Oh, absolutely they do.
So there's a what if after that. But All right, let's take a quick break. We'll have more. Continue to send us your thoughts on the Brewers first half grades, the words, the phrases, whatever comes to your mind when you think about the first half of this Brewers team. Send those on over. All right, text us 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few short minutes. Got to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Jared. Jared is going to be donating some Brewers tickets for our golf raffle for the 5th annual Casper Classic. So a big thanks to Jared for doing that, and big thanks to some of our partners who are also donating prizes. Spectrum Industries, again with the chair. Economy Furniture is also donating a chair. We've got Triple River Industries that's donating a couple baskets. Brandon's mom and Rocky donating a couple baskets on there too. Awards and More is going to be donating some items too. So big thanks for everybody who is donating those raffle prizes and being partners and sponsors of our outing coming up on Friday, August 1st. Lake Alley Golf, Park Ridge Distributing, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Corpus City Flooring Center, VFW Post 305, Myron Construction, Dodge, and AJM Automotive Services, Hy-Vee, Economy Furniture, Muldoon's Menswear, and Home Oasis Pools and Spas. So if we still have a few spots left, if you want to get your team in before they're all gone, just head to sportstalk1051.com.
I know you probably talked about this earlier, but I didn't hear. How did Hudson enjoy his first experience at a major league ball game?
He got a ball.
He did.
So this is, I don't know who the gentleman was. He was a worker at Target Field, but we were walking to our seats, and I just kind of made eye contact to one of the security people, and he was waving me over. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I thought I was going to get in trouble. I'm wearing Brewer stuff.
Sure.
So I walk over, and he pulled this out of pocket, and it was a BP ball from that day. And he's like, and for Hudson, I'm like, well, that's actually his first game, going to. So it just made it extra.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Midwest nice.
Exactly. So, I mean, they were. The field was awesome. I mean,
isn't that a nice park, nice setting? You look
the skyline,
at the Twin City skyline.
Yep.
It is.
Yes, it was. We had the whole row to ourselves.
Oh, good.
And I looked over. Yeah, it was really odd. I think that's why we had the whole row where nobody's doing. Looked over. I saw somebody wearing an Express hat walking around too. So we had some rep. But yeah, it was a good day at the ballpark.
Yeah, you could tell there were a lot of Brewer fans in that park.
When they went through the starting lineups, the roar for Brewers, especially like when Yelich or Cheerios' name was announced, it was loud. It was loud. So I was like, all right, we're like at a home game right now, it feels like. So I don't know why, but
like the Cubs fans at AmFam Field.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know why, but like the last couple of years, especially this year, I've gotten more of a love affair with baseball. I don't know why. I'm just enjoying it more. I don't know why. I've always been a baseball fan, but I don't know if it's because Hudson's and playing more baseball in that too, but I just like going to baseball games too. It's a different feel than football and just more enjoyable, I would say.
Pro football, you look at pro basketball, there's no way you can even, the average person or 99% of people can even dream of playing that.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, you're a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really are. You go watch the Express. Any game, you look at, I wonder, one of these guys might be a major leaguer because how many guys have gone through the Northern League? And that's why baseball has always been my favorite. Played a lot of it and enjoy it. And when you understand the game, you really, because basketball and football now, it's hard to really understand the nuances of the game, the way they call the games in the defenses it's just different. Baseball, it's still mano a mano. Pitcher throws it, you hit it, somebody feels it, or somebody doesn't feel it. I mean, you feel like you're still part of the game.
Yeah.
More so than the other sports.
Yeah. It's just
even golf. There are a lot of good golfers around, but they don't, even a scratch amateur, you put them in a PGA tournament and they're like a fourth grade kid. Just doesn't happen.
It was just because that was the first game I've been to, a pro game that I've been to in a hot minute. And it was just like, I missed, just being at a ballpark, and I'm like, okay, I gotta have a cold one, just sitting back and watching the ball game. And speaking of Northwoods League, this is where I'll give a shout out to Target Field too. They did a Northwoods League. I don't know if they do this every time, but they do a Northwoods League highlight feature.
Oh, they do.
And they were going through this kid. I can't remember where it was, but it was like a play. I think it might have been in Minnesota. Anyways, I don't know how this left fielder caught this ball, but he caught it on the run, flip-flopped over the field, the outfield fence. I mean, it was just a ridiculous catch. And I don't know if that was they just made a special mention for that, but they did a Northwoods League feature, and I didn't know this, but they mentioned that Joey Ortiz also played in the Northwoods League, played for the Wilmer Stingers. So he might have actually played at Carson Park. We'd have to look back on that, but I'm like, that's cool to represent that too.
Yes.
So over
you
there,
still feel part of the game.
Yeah,
which you can't do. I mean, people say, "Well, I understand pro football." If they said, "Okay, you come out here now, you design an offense, you think you know it, or a defense," I mean, it's
just because you can play Madden doesn't mean you can actually do it. That's
right.
But even the little things too, Sunday running the bases, they do that at Target Field. We know they do that at AmFam Field, but the kids get to do that. You can't do that at Lambeau Field or any of these football stadiums.
You don't get near the grass at Lambeau Field.
No,
that's a felony almost.
Exactly. You'll get tackled and arrested and fined and jailed, but it's the little stuff like that.
Same thing in a basketball court. They got all the security standing there.
Yep.
Looking at the crowd. Anybody gets near the floor, bang, you're out.
Yeah.
And they protect the field. They don't want you on the grass at American Family Field.
Right.
That, I know that from having been down there over the years. But still in all, you can get the kids getting exposure to the field, run the bases. What do they say? Senior citizens or somebody can play catch on the outfield track. So you can still have more access to the game and the team.
Yeah, but they definitely had a very heavy Wisconsin theme throughout the game, like between the innings. I know I mentioned this the other day, but they were doing like that one game. It's like from The Price is Right, the mountain climber. So you guess a year, and the difference between the two is the amount of steps you take, and try to keep it within whatever. But it was Paul Molitor themed because Brewers and Twins, and then they had to do a match game. And it was all Wisconsin themed between two Twins fans. So they played up to it was like that. They gave you the word, but then you had to describe the word, like clue or something like that, or password, whatever that game is. So they would be like, the clue was water parks or Culver's or cheese curds and stuff. So they played up to the crowd, no doubt about it. So.
Yeah, and they can do it more often between innings. Football or basketball, you can do it at halftime maybe, and they do it at halftime. They have passing contests or half court shooting. But it's not like they do at the baseball.
Right. I was like, I need to do this more often. Get to ball games more often. So he had a blast.
You got to take him down to AmFam Field.
Yep. His godfather is bugging us because he has tickets for games and he lives down there and wants to get them there. So we got to go down there and check it out. Because I asked him, I'm like, you want to go to games? He's like, I want to go to AmFam next. So
yeah.
Yep.
Go early and pack a picnic basket or
That's
something.
the other thing too. You can Target Field, we could bring snacks and water in to the ball field.
Right on through the gates?
Through the gates, yep.
Wow.
As long as the water bottle, they're not opened,
Yeah.
So go buy it, snacks, as long as it's not open, you can bring them in. And I know AmFam used to. I think they still do, but yeah. I don't know, but
they do anymore.
But yeah, we could, especially on a hot day like it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. But just that family-friendly atmosphere again.
But down at AmFam Field, you'd be able to tailgate. People are throwing bean bags and doing different stuff. It's a fun atmosphere, fun environment.
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of Brewers fans walking around downtown when we were driving and getting to our parking spot. And it was well represented, shall we say.
And that's one thing. We've got it nice between Lambeau Field and AmFam Field. And I've never been to the Pfizer Forum, but that's mostly winter. It's hard to be outside celebrating or partying. But Lambeau and the neighborhood around Lambeau and AmFam Field, the parking lots are big enough that you can bring a grill or throw bean bags, or they have a lot of fun, and that adds to the entertainment and the fun of the game.
Yep, definitely. But each park, each stadium is unique, and I will say that's my first time at Target, and it's a really cool looking stadium. They did it well except for not having a roof. So
no, I agree with you. I like that park. I just wish they had a roof.
But I get it. That skyline is because I was talking to Luke before I got tickets, and he mentioned to try to get tickets so you could see that skyline, and I'm glad we did because that was really cool. It's really cool.
It's kind of neat how you walk in off the street with the bars and stuff around the outside, and you kind of walk in and then go down into the stadium and you look at the skyline. It's a nice setting.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, there's the statues out there too. Just looking at all the different ones, and definitely saw a lot of former Express player Griffin Jacks banners all across the
Yep.
stadium too. So, but yeah, and it's Hudson's birthday today too, so that was part of his birthday gift, and
Good.
not a bad way to see a win, and a really good
No.
win too.
I was
that
going to
day.
say, which game were you at?
We were at Saturdays, so when they shut them out 9-0,
Yeah.
and they put up 4 runs in the first 2. So my boy Sal started it off. Greatest player ever, Sal Freelick.
He's getting better all the time.
I just love watching that guy
If
play.
or not he, but if Terang and Cherry, and they're not in the basement, but I mean, just get a little bit better than they are. And I'm sure they would say they'd like to turn it up a little bit too.
Mhm.
I'm not criticizing them at all because they're playing hard and they're contributing, but just a little bit more on the offense. And wow, this team would be hard to stop.
So let me ask this: with the trade deadline coming up in about a month, for the longest time we've talked about the left side of the infield and trying to find a power bat in that. But apparently, this was from a couple days ago. Garrett Mitchell suffered a setback in his rehab. So with that and knowing Blake Perkins, they already said, and it makes sense, he's going to be in AAA for a while because he missed spring training. Does the need switch to another outfielder? Trying to find, because it might be a little easier to find an outfielder by the trade deadline, and then you put Cheerio back at left and try to find a center fielder. Do you find a power bat for left field?
I'd still rather find a power bat in the infield. And I was going to talk about this does this put pressure with Mizz? Obviously, he's the real deal. I think we've seen after 3 starts that he can pitch in the major leagues successfully. Does this put pressure on the management, general manager, that they've got the ability to compete? Is it a behoove them to help this team compete even better? I don't know how they're going to do it, because what they've got to get rid of something if they trade for bat, and I don't know if their bat is out there. But was Mizz, Peralta doing well? Some of the other pitching has been pretty good.
It might be Peralta's last year.
Yeah.
Hate to say that.
Them to make a move to give this team more of a chance to be in the playoffs.
Feel like we've said that the last few years.
Yeah, but I mean, with Mizz coming on now,
because it's the opposite of
on the mound.
It's the opposite of what the Pirates are doing and wasting Paul Skeens, right? I mean, they're wasting what they have with Paul Skeens, and I think you take it. We talk about that a lot too with football, with rookie quarterbacks and cheap contracts, right? You try to take advantage of that if you have it. I think the Brewers should. I just don't think they will, to the level that we want.
Do you think they will? I don't think so either. I don't know what Atanasio, what he's getting out of owning this team without trying to put more effort into really building this roster a little bit better.
Yeah. I agree. By the way, Brandon's mom said AmFam still allows unopened snacks and water into the stadium too. So maybe it's a Major League Baseball thing, or I don't know.
I don't know. But I never tried to carry, so I don't know.
That's why I was like, because looked it up and I was still a little nervous because I didn't want to get in trouble.
No. But I just want your son to see you hauled off in the handcuffs.
Right.
What do you remember about your first game, Hudson? Oh, my dad.
Yeah.
Got put in a slammer.
Trying to bring in a bottle of water.
There you go, yeah.
But no, I mean, if let's say they continue to play this well all the way into middle of July and into the All-Star break, all eyes are going to be on that front office to see if they make a move to try to improve that team.
What, Mizz could potentially have 2 more starts before the All-Star break? Could he get
a couple
3
more,
in?
maybe? Let me look at the schedule here.
Because we're getting towards the end of June here now, 25th of June, 26th of June, and I think he's got 2 more starts in him before the All-Star break.
If we do every 5, it looks like about 3.
Oh, he does. Well, 3. Well, that would be even better.
So, if this works out, he would get game 1 of the Mets, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then against Miami, he would miss out on that Dodgers series, which is kind of a bummer. That'd be at AmFam.
Is he pitching every 5th day, or is he getting 5 days of rest?
I think it's every 5th day right now.
Okay, so 4 days of rest and then back in.
Yep. So if we do it that way, it would be the Mets, Miami, and then Washington right before the All-Star break. So
you look at the Mets has pretty good hitting lineup with Lindor and Soto and the polar bear, Alonso. But then you got those other two teams that aren't exactly the powerhouse of Major League Baseball. He could put up some numbers in his first 6 starts.
And then it'll be interesting after the All-Star break if they kind of reset their rotation, because you have those 4 days off, and depending on if any pitcher pitches in the All-Star game, would they reset it because they play the Dodgers right after the All-Star break in LA too? So would they have a chance to kind of like, okay, let's regroup and kind of set up their rotation potentially for that Dodgers series? Because then you have the Cubs. Remember too, they only play the Cubs for 2 more series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But this was the first time the Cardinals and the Cubs have played all year, this current series, which is surprising.
Yeah, well, everybody's playing everybody now, so it limits that.
That means the Cubs and the Cardinals are going to have to meet towards the end of the series. Season.
Yeah, so they play the Cubs for one more time in Milwaukee at the end of July, and then they've got those 5 games in 4 days in Chicago towards the end of August, and that's it for the Cubs. So, so be interesting. Yeah, I think it'd be 3 unless, again, they say they want to watch those innings and maybe they only elect to do 2. I don't know. But if we do the basic every 5th day, you would have 3 more starts for the All-Star. 6-0.
Who's the All-Star manager from the Dodgers?
I believe so, yeah. Dave Roberts, yeah. I don't think he'd be picking any of his pitchers to start that game.
No, he doesn't have any. The Cubs really don't have anybody that's been outstanding.
I would imagine it's going to be Skeens again. I mean, he's got, at least he did entering the game yesterday, the top ERA in Major League Baseball.
Well, that'd be tough. Mizorowski follows Skeens in the All-Star game.
That would be fun, though.
It would be.
It would be a lot of fun. So, I don't know, because I know Skeens last year started, but I don't know if they would. It'd be interesting if Mizorowski would be eligible.
Who's having a better year?
I think
Skeens? In the American League, you have to look.
Tariq Skubal, probably.
Skubal or Jacob DeGrom.
Almost had the perfect game no-hitter last night.
Exactly.
Yep.
He's coming on this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see him healthy again. I've always liked that guy. I always thought he was best pitcher in baseball, but then got hurt.
You look at wins. I mean, Max Fried's the only one with double-digit wins with the Yankees. He's got 10 as of right now. Then Skubal's got 9. DeGrom's got 8. Earned run average, it's Hunter Brown, Max Fried, Garrett Groshette, Jacob DeGrom, then Paul Skeens. That's all AL, so Paul Skeens is the top National League. So, yeah, maybe it is either Max Fried or Jacob DeGrom as the AL starter. But again, if it's the Yankees, they might go a little homer pick for Yankee starter in that game.
And most managers don't care. If you don't pitch my guy, that's good.
That's true. Yeah, they'd rather, maybe pitch their competition's guys and get them in.
It's an honor to be chosen for the All-Star game, but if you don't use my pitcher, don't feel bad.
I think it's more of the honor to start it probably, and then after that it's like, we'll probably pitch the guy I might have to face. He might go 2 innings in this one just to get a little extra work.
I was watching the other night, last night maybe it might have been. Josh Hader's having a really good year for the Houston. He's got a haircut too.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where's he? He's 5-1 with a 1.73 ERA. Record wise, how many saves does the guy have? Let me bring that up. 21 saves. So he is having a solid year.
Yeah, he's an all-star.
I would imagine easily, right? Devin Williams, is he getting? Yeah, he's so far this year. Devin Williams is 2-2 with a 4.94 ERA, just 10 saves so far. So
not good.
Not in a contract year either. So
no, not as good as he was with the Brewers.
No, and then I think that's gonna, when he is a free agent, it's gonna be, well, is he better at a smaller market, not the Big Apple type of setting?
Got a lot of guys. Randy Johnson is a perfect example of that. Never fit in with the Yankees.
Well, wasn't that kind of like always Zach Greinke's thought
Mm-hmm.
or the thought, because he was always a very quiet and type of person too.
Yep.
So, but all right, let's take a quick break and we'll wrap up the second hour. We'll do a little receive or defer. So we'll hit that up. Don't forget, send us your questions for Mr. Bolks. He's joining us at 8:30 this morning. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. In our latest Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question that we posted up yesterday on our Facebook pages and X pages, we asked if you had to pick between these two and it was a must-win game, who are you picking? So I'm going to make this the first receiver defer question. Then I'll go to you. Receiver defer between Freddie Peralta and Jacob Mizorowski. You would pick Mizorowski over Peralta in a one-game win situation.
Right now, I would.
Yeah, 77% of the voters agree with you.
Yeah,
so.
He's not giving up any runs. He's not giving up any hits. Freddie gets in some situations once in a while you get a little nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you got to go with Mizz.
It's hard, but I think you got to ride the hot hand, don't you?
Absolutely.
So, all right. What else you got?
All right. Receive or defer. The worst rule or policy change in college or pro sports in the past decade has been the transfer portal.
Yeah, I'd receive that.
Yeah, is out of control.
And
I didn't put the pay players for their
the NIL and that.
NIL, thank you. Name, image, likeness. I didn't put that in there because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. These guys can make some money off when they're college stars. They're in the headlines. They're in the news.
Mm-hmm.
But the transfer portal, the way it's handled, I think makes it the worst policy change we've seen in sports in a decade.
Mm-hmm. They opened up the floodgates and you can't stop the flood now. You can't change it. You can't redirect it.
No, and you got two different times when they can transfer. It's just out of control.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Receiver defer. The best change in sports has been the pitching clock in baseball.
I don't know if I'd say best, but I do like it. I like it.
I mean, thinking back like over the last few years, what other change have we made that has been so positive? You get in there, you don't have 4-hour baseball games anymore. You can kind of plan that 3 hours, give or take a few minutes either way, is going to be a baseball game.
And I like it that you don't have the batter stepping in and out. Let's, the whole Ryan Braun thing, readjust the gloves.
That was on my mind too.
It's like, okay, let's go. Come on now. So I definitely would put it up there for sure. Now, on the same breath, really quick, I just ask you, because the other day we talked about sports annoyances. Somebody mentioned extra innings starting the runner on second. Where do you think? Where do you land on that? Do you like that or not?
Personally, as a baseball purist, I don't like it, but I understand why they're doing it, so they don't have 26-inning games, which they don't have the Brewers and the White Sox years ago. But I understand whether personally I don't like it, but I don't think it's been bad as far as policy for the game. I don't think it's been bad corresponding to the good that the pitch clock has brought.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Receiver defer. The Cubs' performance lately showing how important pitching is in baseball.
I would receive that, definitely.
Because I've been watching and their pitching hasn't been good.
And again, kind of goes, I think, we talked about it for the last couple of weeks. You look at that, I think kind of an underrated aspect of Brewer starters. Their ERA. I mean, they've been a very, very, very good group so far. And considering all the injuries that they've gone through, got to give them a ton of credit. Got to give Chris Hook a ton of credit. They have the 8th most wins in all of Major League Baseball. You look at team ERA. Let me bring that up. Is it going to load up for me? Well, now it's just freezing up on me, so I'll have to take a look at that in a little bit here. But yeah, I would say so.
So those are kind of the ones I have. As I watch ball games, some things go through my mind, and if I got a pad of paper, I write them down. Otherwise, I forget them.
Stupid computer. We gotta get a new one. Oh wait, we're moving studios.
Yeah,
whatever. At
won't
some
be
point.
long.
So, but no, I would agree. Receive or defer. The Milwaukee Bucks will actually make a pick tonight, or will they trade it?
I'll receive it because I think it would be really frustrating for Bucks fans if everybody else can add play, we don't add, or at least try to add someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's enough really good players. There's more than 30, 35 players that can play in the NBA. It's just a matter of finding them. Like Giannis, nobody anticipated that he was, when the Bucks picked him, they said, who in the world is that guy?
Yep.
So maybe you can find a diamond in the rough.
Receive or defer with all the injuries in the Eastern Conference now, when you factor in Tyrese and Tatum and what the Celtics have been doing, trading some of their guys, Drew Holiday and Porzingis. Receive or defer, even with Dame missing a big chunk of next season, the Bucks should be aggressive this offseason and kind of maybe take advantage of what's going on in the Eastern Conference right now.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly because, Porzingis and Drew Holiday is gone. Tatum's out. Celtics are definitely going to fall back. Halliburton, when is he going to play again? I think, too, this is going to be wide open. Joel Embiid, he's always an X factor injury-wise for Philadelphia. There are a lot of opportunities. I think if the Bucks can be creative and find the right guy, they got to find a big guy or two to play in the middle for defensive purposes. They've got to find somebody that's aggressive. I'd love to have them find a guy like this Caruso that plays for Oklahoma City. That guy, he's in McConnell that plays for Indiana. Those two guys were aggressive. They're not stars, but that didn't stop them from playing the game like they were the star. They didn't back down from anybody. You look at Caruso, he was guarding the big guy from Dallas, so he, or Detroit, Denver, Joker.
Yep.
And, guys like that make the difference. Where did Drew Holiday go that the Celtics got left?
He got traded to Portland. And apparently he's pissed, which I would be too. So
I imagine he is.
Gets traded there from the Bucks, lasts there for a day or two, and then gets shipped back to Portland. So
that's right. He did. Yep.
But I don't. It sounds like Portland wants to keep him. Apparently, it sounds like Portland was the one that was aggressive in trying to get Drew Holiday. So, but we'll.
And I don't know who's out there. Of course, all of a sudden you hear about a trade that you never even dreamed was going to happen, and so who's out there? Who the Bucks can get? Who they can afford with Dame. I mean, that's one thing I'd like to see, that these teams given a little relief, like Indiana for Halliburton,
because he's going to miss all season.
Boston for Tatum, Milwaukee for Dame, other guys that are out. I mean, you're penalizing those teams. I mean, you got to give them some relief so they can be competitive. I don't understand why they don't put something like that in.
Yeah, and I don't want to pretend like I know and try to fool everybody. Like it's hard to understand the salary cap situation in the NBA. You got the luxury tax, you got like different levels and bird rights and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, I don't want to say, well, they should trade for so and so, because I really don't know if they can with money wise and such, because it's NFL salary cap is pretty cut and dry. That one's pretty easy to figure out and such. But I look at it too. I know they keep talking about gap year. I don't want to talk about a gap year with Giannis, especially when the Eastern Conference the Bucks aren't the only team that's going to be missing a star player for a long time. Celtics are. Indiana is. I'm curious to see if the Knicks and the Cavaliers kind of look at this like, does that open a door for us? If you have Giannis, you should still try to compete every single year if he's on your team.
No question about it.
I don't want to waste a year with Giannis. And I understand the whole gap year thing, but it doesn't mean, in my opinion, I still think you can be aggressive and try to still get guys on your team that get you to the postseason. If you get Dame back before the postseason, that's a bonus.
In all sports. Now, we can go back to the Brewers, the Hader trade.
Yeah.
That's telling them we're giving up, even though they were right in the fight.
They were in first place.
Yeah. And for the Bucks, the same way. But it just frustrates me that these teams are on the hook for a guy's salary when he can't play. I understand I'm paying him, but penalizing the teams for not being able to go out and put a competitive team on the floor because you're hamstrung by a guy that can't help you. I'd like to see a change there. That's one of my real frustrations with the NBA more than any of the other major sports.
Especially since we're kind of seeing a spike in these type of injuries, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing that more and more. And I know the question is why? Well, instead of answering the why, maybe we try to, okay, how do we kind of counter that and help out some teams who are experiencing this, and having that relief so they stay competitive.
I was listening to Dan Patrick and the Danettes, and one of the Danettes they were talking about this very thing. And one of the I don't know which one it was, Fritzy or whoever, brought up that, well, what about, we've started the last few years, maybe ask Dr. Crow about this, what kind of different pressure it puts on those muscles in the leg, that step back shot. They're in, and then all of a sudden they step back and shoot it. And that does put different pressure on different muscles in that hamstring tendon area, and if that does put extra pressure on there and could lead to some of those injuries. But I thought, well,
I know. So DP kind of copied us. I'm joking a little bit, but he did have an orthopedic surgeon on the other day.
And they used to play for Kansas City. I think I heard him.
Yep. And so I was going to ask Dr. Crow this tomorrow, but he had said the combination of having bigger, stronger, more explosive athletes, which Dr. Crow has mentioned numerous times, combined with someone that isn't conditioning their muscles and tendons all the time, is having a bad effect. That last part to me was interesting. Combined with someone that isn't conditioning their muscles and tendons all the time.
Well, that's why that caught my attention when they talked about that step back shot that everybody's using now.
Yep.
If that's putting pressure on tendons and muscles that you don't normally, you stretch, but it just made me think. And I wonder, and I thought of Dr. Crow right away.
Like for me, I guess too, this is another example of a guy we've heard that has been dealing with a calf injury, but he still goes out there and plays. And then what happens? Achilles tear, KD.
Yeah.
Dame had the blood clot had in his calf and such. I don't know if that would be related, but I mean, now I'm wondering, okay, if you are, I get it was the finals, but if you're the team and running the team, and now you got a player that's dealing with a calf injury, are you going to be like, yeah, we're going to try to, or are you going to like, no, we've seen too many examples now where it actually becomes worse, and then you're done for the next year. We're not playing you.
Yeah, the calf or the hamstring in the back of that leg.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be a change in that, where the team's like, you're done, because we're not taking that risk anymore, where you could potentially be done for the next year.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing there are players that are done for the next year.
That's what I'm saying.
And the better players in the league. These aren't the 7th and 8th guys. These are 1, 2, or 3 on the roster.
Right. Exactly. So that's where I'm like, are the teams now going to step up and say, no, instead of saying, hey, he gutted it through and, doing it. But okay, now the Pacers are a completely different team next year without Tyrese Haliburton.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know where the medical staff fits in there. The medical staff has to be heard more by the ownership and the coaches. And so they understand what some of these different drills or shots or things like that are causing different effects on the body, on those tendons and legs and things like that.
Right. And I know Haliburton said he wouldn't change a thing, and I understand that and such. And I mean, they were just half a game away from potentially winning a championship and such. But now, you look at it, it's like, all right, what do you do for next year then if you're the Pacers? Are you taking a gap year? Or what's the outlook, or what's the approach for this offseason?
Well, they've got everybody back, and McConnell, I don't think he's an 82-game difference maker. In the short spurt, like the playoffs, he made a difference in some games. I mean, he was a hustler. He really worked hard all the time he was on the floor. He wasn't taking any time off. But can he do that for 82 games when he's a starter, when he's not playing just 15 or 20 minutes a game? When you're playing 35 and maybe 40 or more minutes a game.
Yep. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut us off here in 30 seconds. Final call, by the way, for any questions for Mr. Bolks, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin, especially with the 4th of July weekend coming up next weekend. If you have any questions, now is the time to text those on over so we can get those to Jake. 715-830-1912. So we'll catch up with him at about 8:30. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk. If you're just tuning in, with the first half of the Brewers season in the books, how would you describe this Brewers team from the first half? What's the first word or the phrase that comes to mind regarding this Brewers team when you think about that first half. And with it being semester grades, how would you grade the Brewers from the first half? We'll hit that up coming up after these news updates. Cruising on through on this Thursday morning. The final hour kicks off right now. A big thanks for making us a part of your start to this day. Coming up in about 20, 25 minutes, we'll catch up with Jake Boakes, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. Final call for any questions for him. You got to text us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Brewers have the off day today after their win yesterday in a packed house at AmFam Field for a Wednesday day game
against
Pittsburgh. I did see some people kind of joking about, because I think some Cubs fans say the only time they fill up is when Cubs fans are there. So Brewers fans having a little fun with that one yesterday. But obviously it was because of Skeens and Mizz and the Mizz getting matchup number one, which could be, we'll see how many matchups between these two we'll see. I think a lot of it's going to depend on whether the Pirates trade him or not next year and such. So, but first half of the season is in the books for the Brewers. How would you describe? What is the word or maybe a couple words that you would use to describe the first half of this Brewers season? And now, since it's the semester grades, how would you grade the Brewers first half of the season? You can do it overall or however you want. Where are you at if you had to grade? If you had to dig out your old grade book as a teacher, remember those old school grade books and such, and pen and
how I remember.
How would you grade the first semester of this Brewers ball club, considering everything? You give them an A?
A, absolutely. Yeah. They came in with questionable pitching staff. They didn't improve the offense. They lost Adames, and they're right there. I mean, how can you grade them any less than an A? Because they weren't expected to be. Nobody talked about the Brewers winning the division this year. They're right there. And I give them an A.
Give an A plus to Pat Murphy, maybe. And
he's solid A. Yeah, he's a solid A.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm around A minus, somewhere around there.
The only thing I would grade an A minus is the ownership in the front office, as far as the team on the field and the coaches and the manager for what they're working with. They get an A for me.
And it's hard for me with the front office with the Brewers because we don't know how much they're handcuffed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if they're severely handcuffed.
But I consider the front office and the ownership kind of
one grouped into one.
Yeah, it's like the manager and the players. Murphy doesn't want to be separated from his team. And I consider the front office and the ownership in the same boat.
Yeah. If you take away Ananasio, is it an A instead of an A minus right now for the Brewers?
Well, and again, I can't give them an A because they didn't improve this team. They didn't really try to improve this team. And so I can't give them an A.
Yeah. Because it is, I think it's different where we, when we look at, let's say Green Bay for an example, in front office, you can kind of pinpoint that, but that's a salary cap thing. Whereas baseball, we know they don't have a salary cap. That's the biggest thing there. And it's hard. I mean, they're playing better right now than I thought they were. I thought they could squeak into the playoffs this year. That was my pick, but I did not expect the National League to be as deep as they're showing right now. So I think you factor that into it, and yeah, it's a very high grade. I think
and
for
the Brewers
are
right in the middle of it.
Right.
That's why I got it, and they weren't expected at the beginning of the year to be in the middle of it. That's why I'm giving them an
A. Right now, second place wild card team, 2.5 back from the Cubs for first place in that division, and it's a division that 4 teams are still in the hunt for that thing, with the Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals, and Reds right there. Sorry, Pirates, but yeah. You got the best pitcher in the division, but yeah, you got the best pitcher, but he only pitches one every few days for you. So,
and another reason I give him an A, you look at other teams that are in the fight for the playoffs, the wild card, the Mets.
Yep.
Pay one guy $700 million.
Yeah.
some of these teams have an awful lot of money expended. The Brewers don't.
Giants and Padres are the other ones. They spend a
Yeah,
lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they took Adames for $180 million. I just have to give this manager and this team an A to an A plus as far as I'm concerned. They've been, fun to watch. They've played to their ability sometimes, but I think more often than not, they're playing above their ability. Yelich is coming back because serious questions about his ability to come back. Was he going to be hurt? Was he starting to lose it? He's back into it, and he's leading this team. So minimum for me is an A.
Bringing up where things are, the standings compared to payrolls, I mean, it's probably not going to be hard to figure out, that the Brewers are probably the team with the fewest payroll in terms of, but, where they're at compared to the teams that are in the postseason here. But I want to get some exact numbers here. But payroll-wise for this year, this is according to SpotTrack.com, where the Brewers are at. Any guesses really quick on where they rank in payroll for this season for 2025? Just the number wise, like ranking wise. You don't have to give me the amount of payroll that they're paying.
No, I'm trying to think who might be below. I don't know if Colorado's below them, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, I know. I'd say they're about 6th or 7th from the bottom.
So they're the 21st highest paid, have the 21st payroll. So there's 9 teams below them. Pittsburgh's right below them. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Colorado, Washington, the White Sox, Tampa, Athletics, and Miami are the only teams that are below Milwaukee. But in terms of like playoff standings and where the teams that are right now in the playoffs, I mean, obviously the Dodgers for the National League, the Dodgers second highest payroll. You got the Cubs who are in second. The Cubs have the 6th highest payroll. Philadelphia leading their division right now. They're the 3rd highest payroll. I'm just doing National League right now. Mets, top wild card team, top payroll. Then you got the Padres and the Giants tied for that 3rd and final wild card. The Padres have the 9th highest payroll. Giants 8th highest payroll. Throw in the Cardinals with this. They have the 11th highest payroll. And I mentioned already the Reds a little bit below, 2 spots below Milwaukee. So, I mean, everybody else is what? Top 10 in payroll that I mentioned from the National League that are currently in the postseason, and Milwaukee's 21.
Yeah, I think and compare the salary of the managers. We know Council's getting a lot more in Chicago than Murphy's getting in Milwaukee. So they're doing it on a shoestring budget.
If I added in the American League, obviously Tampa Bay right now, I mean, Tampa's kind of like Milwaukee, or Tampa is like Milwaukee's National League. They're very similar in how they do business over there too. But, Detroit, the top team, Detroit is where's Detroit on this payroll? They're 18th. So, I mean, they're only a couple spots above the Brewers there. Houston is 12th on the payroll. Yankees, they're 4th on the payroll. Tampa Bay I already mentioned, but again, Tampa Bay is 28th highest payroll. Toronto then is the other wild card team. Toronto on this thing is the 5th highest payroll. And then Seattle is the 13th highest payroll. So look at all those teams in the National League, top 10 in payroll.
Who's the top payroll team in baseball?
The Mets.
The Mets are.
Yep.
Okay.
Mets. Okay. Active. Yeah. So total, this is the active 26-man payroll. Mets are number 1, but if we did total payroll allocations, it'd be the Dodgers. But for the active 26-man roster, it's the Mets right now. So.
And compared to the Brewers, it's got to be twice as much, isn't it, salary that they're paying than the Brewers? I mean, it's some numbers that are staggering.
So active payroll for the Brewers, a 26-man roster, a little under 82 million. We'll round it up to 82 million just to make it math simple. Just to put this in comparison, Kansas City's at 20, so they're 1 spot above. They're 103 million. So you're talking that much of a difference from 20 to 21 in payroll. But active payroll, the Mets, $258.8 million.
I mean, and there's no way you can expect Atanasio to even come close to that.
And
but I think we'd all like to see him do just a little better than he is.
And then if we did total payroll allocations, the Dodgers 338 million. The Brewers actually moved down. They're the 24th, and they're at about 105 million total payroll allocations. So, yeah, what's the buried money? Whatever buried money is, Brewers are. Where do the Brewers go on this one? They're 13th. Okay. Cincinnati has $16.8 million in buried money. What if that's similar to like dead cap for football? But interesting. Injured? You want to know who's leading in injured money? Dodgers have a cool $89.8 million for injured
Well, the Dodgers
money.
just have so much money. They throw it at guys almost irregardless of their health or their health history.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of teams like the Brewers and the other teams down where they are in that area got to be a little more careful.
Yeah. Timmy says, anybody else concerned how long it will be before Mizorowski's elbow explodes? I mean, I did ask Dr. Crow about this a couple weeks ago, and obviously when you have a guy that throws that hard, there is going to be a concern with elbow injuries and such, but I think he does a really good job, though, of using that lower body to generate a lot of that power.
I was going to say, I mean, it's a legitimate question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
But again, and I'd like, if you had time to study history, study film of these guys, you know, Nolan Ryan, Drysdale, Bob Gibson, Denny McLean, they never had elbow injuries. And they threw hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why now we're getting all these elbow injuries for guys that throw hard? I don't think throwing hard is the common denominator. I think the motion is Skeens uses his body like Nolan Ryan and some of these other power pitchers have over the years. And that makes a big Tom Seaver. They never had elbow arm problems.
I'm going to ask this because we hear a lot when it's pitching and the torque on the elbow. And what's one of the pitches that gets talked about a lot is curveballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paul Skeens has 7 different pitches, which is just remarkable. But how much having 7 different pitches would that put on the elbow for the pressure? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And, Mizorowski's doesn't have 7 pitches.
No.
He's got a couple, but does that help a pitcher if they don't have, and not saying Paul Skeens uses all 7 equally, he doesn't, but does that put more pressure on the elbow to have all those? It's cool, but does that also put more torque on that thing?
Yeah, and I'm not a pitching coach or a pitcher or a doctor or anybody but are we talking, is every pitch put that much pressure on the elbow?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we talking shoulders and wrists in here more for some of those pitches? I mean, you look at the way they spin a curveball, that's in the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe Skeens is saving himself a little bit by having so many pitches. And I just look at Mizorowski, and it seems to me like he's got a very fluid motion. It's not herky-jerky. It doesn't look like he's putting undue pressure on anything. The shoulder seems to flow through the pitch, and no snap action any place, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
I hope it continues.
I think the other part too that would worry me about Mizorowski, because this is something I did ask Dr. Crow. He's tall, but he's not the biggest dude in the world. He's like probably a $180 wet.
Yeah, and he's about 6'7".
6'7", yeah. I mean, where Skeens got a little muscle to him. He's a little bit more filled up, if you will. So, I mean, Mizorowski kind of looks like Randy Johnson, right? The tall and lanky type of body. So I don't know if there's, and yeah, I don't know, like how much do you put him in the weight room, because you don't want him to do maybe a whole lot of weightlifting with the elbow and such. You want to protect that baby.
Yeah,
put that in some.
And the way he's going, why change him?
Mm-hmm.
Why have him go in the weight room and put on an extra weight? Now, I don't know, maybe to get through the whole season, you need some extra muscle on there. But I think the way he's going right now, and you don't overtax him, I don't see why you need to make any changes.
So I just Googled because I was just kind of curious. Did Randy Johnson ever have Tommy John surgery? He did, but it was actually later in his career. He had it in 2007. So he didn't have it early on in his career. It was a little bit later on. He did make two All-Star appearances after that. So I mean, he did come back from it, but
and that's why I never mentioned his name with the other guys that I mentioned, because I always thought he put a lot of strain on his arm with his motion, whereas some of these other guys use their body more.
Yeah. So, who would be another one on here? Oh, I'll have to read this article. This is Randy Johnson talks Paul Skeens elbow injuries. I'll have to read that one a little bit. So,
and I hope Skeens never gets hurt. You know, you want to have the best playing all the time.
Right. And the narrative now too, it's pretty much like, I think for a lot of players, maybe it's a little tongue in cheek in that, but there's like the thought, well, eventually you're going to have it. You know, I think there's that mindset that a lot of people just assume that eventually a pitcher's going to have a Tommy John surgery because it happens so often. And you hate to have that, but it kind of feels like that's the case for some of these pitchers.
Yeah, nowadays it is.
Yeah, this was a quote from Randy Johnson from 2004. It was a part of a interview with him on CBS Sports. He said this: for every 15 Tommy John surgeries that are happening in today's game, there might have been one every year in my era that I heard of. I don't think it has anything to do with velocity. You know, I threw 95 to 100. Nolan Ryan threw hard. Pedro Martinez threw hard. Roger Clemens threw hard. There's a lot of pitchers that threw hard, and none of them had Tommy John surgery, and they all threw a lot more than today's pitchers. They would throw 250, 260 innings and 135 pitches a game. So I don't know why there are so many injuries in today's game. I really don't. So
I think that's the question we've asked the same over and over again. These guys pitched a lot of innings. I mean, you can go way back to the guys that have records that will never, ever be touched. Walter Johnson never had problems like that because he won, 500 games or whatever it was and pitched how many innings? Those guys, Carl Hubble, Warren Spahn, way back, you know, those guys never had problems.
Yeah. It's a question that probably won't get answered anytime soon.
No, I don't think it will.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, I mean, we're just talking about with the Achilles, right?
Yep.
Yeah, with the whole Achilles issue. So, but, well, I'm sure as Dr. Crow says, it's unfortunate, but it keeps him in business, though, too. So, you know, right? So,
well, it does.
Even
the weekend warriors have the problems probably that never had 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Right. I mean, you know, I'm not comparing myself to any of these guys, but I remember like when I was in Little League, I was a pitcher, but even to this day, when I like throw hard, my elbow kills me after two of them. And I'm sure it's probably from improper forms as a kid growing up, or, you know, I didn't have my Little League coach. I'm sorry, but he didn't want to be there. He was just there because he was there. Nobody wanted to coach. And so, I mean, I know I overdid it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know? I know when I grew up, we had kids pitch and throw it hard, but don't throw a curveball.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's still pretty much what the good coaches will tell their kids. You know, at this age, you're not going to be in the Hall of Fame as a little leaguer. You know, don't ruin your arm because you want to play Babe Ruth, you want to play high school, maybe college, little semi-pro ball, Chippewa River League. I mean, you look at some of those guys that have pitched forever in the Chippewa River League. I just saw in the paper the other day, a guy broke the record for strikeouts in the league in the career. So, you know, save yourself. Baseball's a fun game, and keep yourself happy. You can play for a long time.
Yeah. I just remember I did the whole fair thing last year with the you get 3 pitches and you had to guess. I was hurting after 3 because I did it for Hudson. It hurt a lot. So
I know the other night, a week or two ago, I threw out the first ball at the Express game. But before I went and got a wiffle ball and threw it for 15 or 20 minutes against the garage door, just to get the arm loosened up enough because
Mhm.
there's nothing more. And I was not going to throw a humpback to the guy. I said, I'm going to try and throw you a modified
Modified.
fastball, very modified.
Mhm.
But you got to warm up right,
Yeah. Yeah.
no matter what age you are.
Inside that elbow, man, I can just like right here put my hand on where it just aches after 3 hard throws.
That's the tendon.
Yep. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll switch gears and talk to Jake. He's coming up after these quick words.
After 3 generations, Lasker's has seen every reason for jewelry. Any reason you bring us, we have jewelry to match.
Lasker's, just a precious stone's throw from Oakwood Mall and online at laskers.com.
Get ready for intense drag racing action at Rock Falls Raceway for the 10th annual SeaTech Manufacturing Badger Classic, June 27th, 28th, and 29th. Don't miss the Classic Car Show Saturday and the awesome wheel standing, door slamming, gear jamming action taking place all 3 days. Over the last 3 years, all proceeds from this event have donated over $100,000 to Joshua's Camp. And with your support, we can speed it up for 2025. Raffle tickets available on site for the $5,000 grand prize. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram and find full event information at rockfallsraceway.com.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything, online to hybrid courses, lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Classes start soon. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
The store is open. Check out all the apparel and items you can buy from the area's leading local radio stations at the 715 Merch Store. Want to show your pride for your favorite station? Maybe you've got someone who lives in another state and wants to display a hometown frequency. Going on vacation and want to show where you're from? Shop the 715 Merch Store for t-shirts, hoodies, and tumblers. The store is open. The Merch Store is always open at 715merch.com. Powered by Resonance Branding.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Recently, I discovered Meguiar's new paint, dash, and glass. It helps me keep my ride clean. And your life gets busy, so you want it to be quick and easy. One product, one solution, designed for those of us short on time. From light dust on paint vinyl, leather, even screens, to bugs and debris on the glass, this inside and out detailer removes the guesswork when you're on the go. Just grab Meguiar's new paint, dash, and glass and keep life simple and your ride looking fresh. Meguiar's, reflect your passion.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Broadcasting live from the TDS Sports Talk 105.1 studios, it's the Dan Kasper Show.
Approaching the end of the month here, and next week it's already 4th of July weekend. It's just flying on by. This summer's flying on by. So let's maybe it's a big weekend too for a lot of people heading out to the outdoors, maybe doing a little fishing, maybe doing a little trail riding and such. It's a good time to catch up with our buddy Mr. Jake Boakes, conservation warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, bud?
Morning. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. So we got a lot to catch up on here this morning. So first off, let's start off with a little bit of, because I think it's probably a good reminder, Jake, with everybody on the water, boating, and that's the weeds on trailers, and making sure how important it is to clean your boats off after you take them off the water and at the boat landing.
Yeah. So a lot of people, you'll hear it called like AIS, or aquatic invasive species. But long story short, with it getting warmer, and I know it cooled off with this little storm front, but with it getting hot, the weeds are growing. People are dumping their boat trailers into the lake, and what we're seeing a lot, especially locally, is people ripping up and down the road with just like a big carpet of seaweed hanging off the back of their trailer. So, a couple issues with it. The main one being, all these different plants and little snails and mussels and different aquatic invasive species can actually live for a pretty long time in those weeds, on trailers, in the water, in your live well or ballast tanks or whatever, which is how primarily these things are spread. So you really want to make sure that you're dumping all the water out of your boat, draining your prop wash area, pulling every weed off, and pulling off the weeds on the inside of your boat too, especially that, it's not duck hunting season, but duck hunters always have a massive amount of weeds inside their boat. But you can do that if you're snagging a lot of weeds when you're fishing. So mostly we really want to protect the clean lakes. There's some lakes around here that not only DNR staff, but public volunteers and state systems have spent a lot of time clearing out the invasives, and it would stink to just have them be dumped in again because someone didn't clean out their boat trailer. So really a big thing we see around the 4th of July and any holiday weekend is getting all those off, as well as it's kind of a hefty fine. It's like a $344 ticket for pulling weeds away from the boat lawn. So you really want to make sure to get that stuff off.
And of course, Jake, we're into the 4th of July weekend, and you guys have Operation Dry Water that you're going to be making sure that the drivers are dry. What's that all about?
Yes, sir. So Operation Dry Water is a national kind of project that's been going on actually for, I think, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, where it's kind of like in the car where, around 4th of July or any major holiday, they say drive sober, get pulled over or whatever. Same thing on the boat. Operation Dry Water is a lot of different DNR agencies across the country, as well as local sheriff's department and any other police department that wants to participate, with the major focus of being to keep boaters sober. So unfortunately, most boating accidents, unless it's some sort of medical emergency, does involve alcohol use in some fashion. And it's unfortunate that, someone may die, they may kill their family members or kill a random person in the public because they were drinking and driving their boat. So this upcoming 4th of July weekend, and to be frank, any weekend or any time you're out on the boat, there's nothing illegal about having beer in the boat. There's nothing illegal technically about having an open intox in the boat. That's allowable. You can have your summer shandy right next to the steering wheel, but you got to be sober. It's the same rules. It's the same testing that we do on a boat at 0.08. So I really, really strongly encourage people that if you're going to drink beer on a boat or drink whatever, alcohol, very much, if you're the driver, limit yourself. Better yet, don't drink. And if you think you're going to get tuned up a little bit, just have someone or hire someone or have a friend or a family member that doesn't drink much drive the boat.
Jake, kind of going back a little bit to when you were talking about AIS and such, and obviously a lot of that is the weeds and focused on weeds, but what about transporting live fish?
Yeah, I've actually got a couple complaints about that recently. A lot of times it stems from people taking bluegills from one area to another area to use them as bait. So you can legally use like a bluegill or a panfish for bait, but it has to be on the same water body you catch it. So if you catch a little bluegill on Half Moon Lake and you want to use it for bait, you have to use it on that lake. You can't take it over to the Chippewa River or something like that. You can use it for northern on that lake. What we're seeing, so the law is that you can't transport any live fish away from the a water body. So you can't take bluegills from Half Moon and take them out to the NSP Dam in Chippewa and use them for bait or anything like that. Even if they're dead, there's other rules that apply with using dead native fish for bait. So the best thing to do is if you do plan on using fish for bait, always catch them in the same water body you're using it. So a lot of people like to do that on the Chippewa rivers or the Mississippi rivers or whatever. That's fine. Just catch it and use it in the same spot. Don't transport them.
So with staying with the using the bait, I know we've talked about this before and such, but so can you use bluegills? And also, I mean, does that count to your daily limit too, even though if you're going to use them as bait?
Yeah, no, great question. It does count as your daily limit, and it's got to be a legal fish. So if you caught 10 bluegill, and you're allowed to have 25, but you caught 10 of them and use them all for bait for northern or muskie or whatever, catfish, that's fine. You can do that day, but that's 10 of your fish. So if you went out and caught you could only go out and catch 15 if you wanted to bring them home for dinner or whatever the number is. So you can definitely use them for bait. They just have to count towards your daily bag limit. And also it just has to be a legal fish. So if there is like a size restriction, someone asked me if they could use largemouth bass as like a bait. And I was like, yeah, go for it, except for it's got to be a 14-inch largemouth bass where you want to use it, because that was the state regulation there. And that's a pretty big fish to be using as a bait. So you still have to follow those length restrictions.
Jake, switching over a little bit because I know fishing is the big topic, and obviously it's the season and such. But just the other day I was looking in our backyard, and first glance I thought it was a dog walking through, but it was actually a doe, and right behind it was two little fawns
Sure.
following mom around. So been seeing a lot of those, a lot of the fawns making their waves and walking around the place too. Probably a good reminder about if you do see a fawn, like don't touch it, right? Don't mess with it or anything like that.
Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Exactly. So no, I'm glad you bring that up. Fawns are getting a little bit older, but they're still being dropped. They're still being born, and they're still pretty young. So I got a lot of calls about that, and I appreciate the calls instead of people grabbing them and feeding them milk and all this kind of stuff, because that's not good for them. 99.9% of the time, people have called me in the last 10 years, and I tell them to just leave the deer where it is, leave the fawn where it is, as long as it's not enclosed in a window well or in a gated fence or something. The mom will come back at night and get it, and every single time the mom comes back and gets it, or the fawn wanders off. So they're just their defense mechanism is just to sit still no matter where they're at, and a lot of times that ends up being in our backyards or in the front of a business. But once darkness comes, they walk away. So don't grab fawns, unless they're laying in the middle of Highway 53 and they're still alive. Don't move them up. Just just leave them where they're at. The mom will come get them, and if you have to do something or you think you need to intervene, call the DNR first, and then we'll talk it through and figure out what the best course of action is. So, we're getting calls with people in their house, in their storm room, and someone brought one in the bar the other night. It's like, you can't be doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can't be doing that kind of stuff. Just leave them out, even if they're in a campground. Let them work their way through the campground. The mom will get them at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I've seen them. I usually hit the golf ball straight, but sometimes I might have to hit it in the rough. And there was a fawn laying under a tree there, and it may be like, oh well, did it get abandoned? Mom's out there somewhere. Mom's watching probably.
She's out there. Their natural instinct is to get away from the fawn during the daylight, so any predators follow the mom around, and then they come back at night to feed them and move them and take care of them. So, and after a week or two, I mean, the fawns are moving pretty good, and they're moving about and out at night and stuff too. So you only usually see them when they're real small. But just as a reminder, just like we wouldn't want some random person coming and grabbing our kid if we walked away for a little bit from the playground. You don't just go grab a fawn or a baby robin or whatever the animal will be. Just let it be. And if it's still there 24 hours in the exact same spot, then call the DNR and we can work through it.
Jake, I know, with 4th of July weekend coming up next week and such, I don't know how much would this be your jurisdiction or anything, but like with fireworks and that, because, we're seeing the fireworks tents getting popped up and that, and I know Forest Service and that, but is there anything with your area, with the DNR related area that you would mention when it comes to maybe firework usage?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. So when it comes to jurisdiction, yada, 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 unless we're right next to them going off, there's complaints coming in and we can help the sheriff's office, it's going to be all sheriff's office issues or jurisdiction, and they'll take care of it. The main part where a DNR warrant will be involved is if it's on any state land. So it's very clear in all the rules and regulations and whatnot that there's no fireworks allowed on any state property anywhere in the state. So campgrounds, state natural areas, state fishery areas, state forests. If it has the word state with it, don't bring fireworks. Don't let them off. If you got those little pop-in, little bang things you throw at the ground for your kids, and okay, that's not the end of the world. But if you're going to turn off, or if you're going to do any fireworks, I would not suggest doing that on state land. We don't have a lot of discretion with that. We're basically going to seize them and issue you a citation for it. So that's kind of where we get involved.
This might be a really stupid question, but I've seen it happen before. You can't light it off on your boat or your pontoons either, right? I mean, I know that's probably going to happen, but can you do that, or can you not?
Yeah, you'll probably end up with I was going to say some sort of reckless driving, which is like a crime. And depending on the situation, that might be applicable. But mostly you're probably going to get tickets for littering. Because unless you have a string tied to that thing and you're picking up every piece that pops up in the sky, if you're shooting it over any public water bodies or public lands, if you can't recover all the material, it's considered littering. So you'll probably end up getting a littering ticket, or a few of them. Every time you fire one off, it's like a $300 littering ticket. So not to be Mr. No Fun Police or whatnot, but it's just, there's not a lot of discretion when it comes with the potential for injury or fire safety or everything else that comes along with firing off fireworks in public areas.
Jake, listening to you, people have piers. Piers are on the water. The water is public. They might own the pier. And we know they fire fireworks off their pier. Is that legal then, if they're firing it off over the water body, which the public owns, not
no, technically it would be similar. So there's like an exemption that allows lake owners or lake residents to put in a pier or a dock or whatever, as long as it's not navigational and it doesn't go too far out. There's some specific number on feet, but at the end of the day, it's just the same as lighting it off on a boat. If you go out on the edge of your dock and bring out the old mammoth mungo mega box and it just fires off for 10 minutes and there's just a bunch of debris in the water and on your neighbor's land and there's stuff going across the lake, then it's the same as littering, and just like if you're on the boat.
Mm-hmm. Jake, I know just to maybe kind of wrap it up too, but trail riding, I got to imagine is probably going to be a busy activity for 4th of July, and I mean just summer overall too. And do you have any final thoughts on that, or just any final thoughts as we get into the 4th of July weekend next week?
No, the big thing is, again, sometimes in these conversations, it sounds like the no fun police because we're saying don't do this and make sure you do that and whatever. And at the end of the day, our job is to make sure everyone goes out and has fun and is safe with doing it. So, I want, first and foremost, I want everyone to go out and have fun and enjoy the fireworks, and enjoy trail riding and boat riding and camping and doing whatever they want, in the natural resources of the state. But at the end of the day, the rules are there to keep people safe and to make sure that everyone, not just like the operator of a UTV, but everyone goes home safe, even the dog walkers on the side of the road, on the side of the road routes when people are riding it. So, when you go out, just, first and foremost, you're probably going to want to make sure your registrations are up to date. Otherwise, you're going to get pulled over. All the wardens are going to be working, all the warden supervisors and the sheriff's departments, patrols, and the PD patrol. Everyone's going to be working. It's a busy time of year. So, just make sure you got everything up to snuff. Your registrations are there, your safety equipment, whether that's PFDs for a boat, helmets for machines, all your lights are working. You don't have like too many crazy, ridiculous lights on your machines. Just if you kind of take the extra 5-10 minutes and scan through the regulations for whatever activity you're doing, not only might save you from a citation or whatnot, but it could help keep you safe or other people safe. So spend a little time doing that, and then just have fun when you're out there.
Because that's a good reminder, I think, with the lights for the boats too, because I mean, depending on where you're watching fireworks, a lot of people might take the boat or the pontoon out on the water at night and watch fireworks, right?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's where you find most wardens on 4th of July is, we luckily get to see the fireworks, but then we're working, making sure people are safe on the way after it, because rightly so, and I understand, but people turn off all their lights when the fireworks go on, but then when they get back under operation, people forget to turn their lights on, or they have all the party lights and Christmas lights hanging off it, which are illegal, and it's an obstruction to the navigation, or people have their music cranking in the middle of the dark, and they're drunk driving, and we're trying to make sure none of that happens this year or every year or any weekend. So a lot of people do go out at night, and that's good, but just make sure to be safe and keep your boat lights on and keep your navigational lights on, and just know kind of where you're going on that water body.
Good thoughts there. Good thoughts. Hey, Jake, we appreciate it, man. And not only should everybody be safe, but you be safe out there too with this busy time.
It.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. And have a good 4th, and we'll catch up with you soon, okay?
Yeah, you guys too. Enjoy it. We'll talk in a couple weeks.
You got it. There you go. Jake Boakes joining us here this morning, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Let's take our final break. We'll be back to wrap up things after these quick words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
This update sponsored by UW Credit Union. For every stage of life, UW Credit Union is here for every you.
Collect new Brewers swag designed by Wisconsin artists at T-Shirt Tuesdays presented by Hupie and Abraham. Be one of the first 10,000 at the game on July 8th for a special shirt by Lost Files Clothing. Get tickets at brewers.com/giveaways.
Join UW Credit Union at uwcu.org, insured by NCUA.
Get ready to save with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Be sure to check out all the great savings that half-off deals have to offer. There's something for everyone, so be sure to see for yourself. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
When you're in the business of building the future, why rely on yesterday's internet technology? 100% fiber internet from TDS is engineered to handle industrial strength demands with turbocharged symmetrical speeds and 99.9% network reliability. Get internet that keeps your business light years ahead. Upgrade to cable-crushing TDS fiber internet. Strong enough for your business, strong enough for you. Learn more at tdsbusiness.com. Internet speeds are up to and not guaranteed. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Gear up for Quick Trip's Mountain Dew Quick Climb. Now through August 17th, play free daily in the Quick Rewards app and earn bonus plays with every eligible purchase. For example, grab one with hot food, that's 2 bonus plays. Each week, the cash prize climbs by $5,000, all the way to a $250,000 grand prize. So open the app and get climbing. Your summer, your climb, your win. No purchase necessary. See complete details at quicktrip.com/sweepstakes.
Do your summer plans include travel? Make sure your prep includes more than just flights and hotels. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccination, especially if you're 65 or older or have certain health conditions. There have been surges in COVID-19 in the summer, too. It's important to help protect yourself no matter your destination. So check eligibility and schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything, online to hybrid courses, lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. Classes start soon. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Not only can you listen to your favorite radio show in the world, but now you can watch why everyone says Dan has a face for radio. Watch the Dan Kasper Show live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
All right, it is time to wrap up things. Let's make some picks as we close out this Thursday program. Let's start off in the Major League. No Brewers game today, off day today for the crew before they welcome the park. Miller said it again. I said it twice yesterday, Miller Park. I don't know why it's stuck in my head. AmFam Field.
Old habits are hard to break.
So
long time it was Miller Park.
Yep. So we got a few games though on the docket for today. So first up, Athletics taking on the Tigers. Who you rolling with? Do I need to ask?
I'm taking the Tigers.
Yep, I'll take the Tigers too. Toronto and Cleveland. Toronto playing well too.
Yeah, they are playing better. And I'll take Toronto, although Dalton Varsho's out for a while now.
I'm gonna go Toronto too. Let's do Seattle at Minnesota. Minnesota finally getting off their little losing schneid there. They picked up a 2-0 win last night behind Joe Ryan, but can they do it again?
They're at home?
They're at home.
Taking the Twins.
Are they going to get a game in? Is it supposed to rain over there like it's supposed to? I don't know. But
that's true. Might be better to bet on whether or not they'll get the game in, whether or not they win.
Yeah. I'm going to go Seattle in this one. Sorry, Twins fans. Philadelphia taking on Houston.
Houston.
I am going to go with Philly. Let's do Tampa and Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I'll go Tampa. Let's do Chicago and the Cardinals.
I'm taking the Cardinals just because I want the division to tighten up even more.
I would love to. Imanaga's pitching for the Cubs, though, so I got to go with the Cubs. Dodgers.
Skeens pitched for the Pirates yesterday.
I know.
You picked the Pirates.
I picked the Pirates, so,
you did.
Maybe it's reverse psychology, okay? Dodgers, Rockies. Clayton Kershaw is on the mound for the Dodgers tonight.
Taking the Rockies. He hasn't been very impressive coming back.
Neither of the Rockies overall,
But I'm taking the Rockies. Just because they're the Rockies and the Dodgers are the Dodgers.
Well, I'm going Dodgers. Playing in Colorado might be good for that lineup, too. So let's go Marlins and Giants.
Giants haven't played all that well, but I think they're going to get better.
I am going to go with the Giants. And then Braves versus the Mets.
Mets.
I am going to go Mets, too. So round 2 of the NBA draft. The Bucks will pick. Yeah, right. You don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's
no. I don't know if they do yet.
That's like
depends on who's left.
What do you think John Horst was doing all day yesterday? Nothing. Probably.
Scratching names off his list. This guy's gone. This guy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say this: your pick for the Bucks draft. Will they take a big man or will they take a guard or?
They're going in the middle. It'll be a forward, so be like a 6'7", 6'8" guy.
Yeah, I don't know how many big guys are left out there that can contribute.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I have no idea. This is too hard to even try to guess.
The NBA draft is baseball. That's just.
I'm just gonna say I'll go John Tanjay because that's the name off the top of my head.
Well,
so
there you go. I hope he gets drafted.
I think he will. Be cool if it's Milwaukee, but again, we don't. It all depends on are they going to get an opportunity when they get to that next level, and can they take advantage of that opportunity? So, and then the other thing too is like
the right time.
The other thing is I don't know if Doc Rivers is going to get these guys playing times if they draft them. I don't know. Might have to be forced to, depending on what their roster looks like, for crying out loud. So, but anyways, yeah, that's they'll wrap up tonight, and we'll see if the Bucks actually make the pick. Do they trade it? Even acquire another one? I don't know, but I'll follow it, but I'm not going to like. How do I want to say this? It's not like the NFL draft.
Be glued to the TV.
I'm not sitting on the edge of my seat and like, oh, please draft this guy, sort of thing. I'm sure we'll have our reactions afterwards.
A lot of French players were picked last night.
Mm-hmm. So
and a lot of French players obviously are starting to improve that game over there. Wemby was number 1 a year ago, and just a lot of great young French basketball players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I see, the Nets had 5 first-round picks last night, and 4 of them were all guards. 4 of their 5 picks, all guards. So maybe going a little bit of the college route with the 4-guard lineup and
3-point shot.
Yeah. But they had 8, 19, 22, 26, and 27th, the overall picks. So, but we'll see how that works out. And I know, one of them, I think their first pick is like a 6'9" guard. So, I mean, he does have size to it.
Yeah. And by the time the season starts, how many of those 5 will be on the active roster? How many be in the G League? How many be in Europe?
How many will be traded?
Yep, exactly.
For Giannis. I'm just kidding. So, and the Nets have the 36th overall pick today too. I believe. Let me double check really quick before shot clock.
What time do they start?
Cuts me off here.
Another night activity.
Yeah, I think so. I'll double check. But the Timberwolves have the first pick tonight, so we'll see what they do.
Did they have a pick last night?
They did. They drafted a big man. I think from France too. Actually, I'll double check here. Just trying to see what time round 2 actually begins.
There was talk that they were going to try and get KD, but I don't know.
Sounds like KD maybe didn't want to go there. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock tonight, it looks like.
And I don't know how in depth that talk ever went, but if KD didn't want to go, that would have answered. He doesn't like to play in the cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got big man Behringer from France. The Timberwolves did last night. So. All right, shot clock's going to cut us off in a minute. Reminder, no Brewers game today. The Express are back at Carson Park tonight. We'll see if the rain holds off.
Hopefully. I got to go out there, head out there, and talk to a young kid. One of my guys, a kid that I grew up with in Madison, lived right next door. He moved to Texas, and now he lives in Texas. His grandson pitches college for a Texas college. The Loggers recruited him, so he's here in Wisconsin playing this summer. So I'm going to go out in Carson Park and meet the kid, talk to him a little bit, tell him all about his grandpa.
There you go. That's
Things
a cool
he probably
story.
doesn't know about his grandpa.
That's a cool story. So, but they are back at Carson Park tonight. So last night's game, I know, got rained out in La Crosse. So hopefully we'll get that game in tonight.
As wet as La Crosse has been,
yeah,
they had cars floating down Front Street.
Man, that's nuts.
That is a lot of water.
Have a good rest of your day. DP Dannets are up next. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, same place, same time. We'll talk to you then.